Just a month ago, Japan was at a turning point in its entire nation's history. Japan was a moment from defeat.
そういった考えの人たちがございます。ください。2020
As you can see, this is a video explaining the growth of Islam and the Pakistani community in Hokkaido-stan, Japan-stan, and illegally constructing mosques, praying in public, and the local people are terrified.
4月10日、東区北13時憩い公園という公園があるんですが、このようにイスラム系
As you can see, there's like 1 or 2 Muslims. Now, as you can see, certain foreigners have made people feel relatively unsafe on the streets of Japan as of late. Now, when I think of Japan, this is what I think of. I think of samurai and Muslims. That's the first thing that it's the first thing I think of. Yes, we're going to be extra racist this video. Islam becomes Japan's fastest growing religion with over 110 mosques, the doubling Muslim population in a decade. This is so wholesome. Probably, especially if you're a Muslim man. Now, obviously, what comes along as a side effect of illegal immigration, and immigration as a whole, specifically from third world countries, is the rape rate increases. Imagine you're a 16-year-old Japanese girl dozing on the train to school where a Pakistani Muslim man attacks you, drags you off, and rapes you in bushes near the station. His name is Afzal Muhammad. Another example of a straight white male committing an act of terror. Another straight white male, ladies and gentlemen. Every single time. It's all these Zionists, and you know what I'm saying? It's another Zionist, another Christian, another white Christian man doing this type of thing wherever they go. The Zionists and the white Christians, they're just out there ruining civilizations. Anyway, Mr. Mohammed over here definitely twisted things, for example. Now, a lot of people are not very happy about the state of Japan because aside with the rape rate increasing, you also have public vandalism, public indecency increasing, and to be honest, well, Japan is not the only people frustrated. The actual Muslim Brotherhood is a little bit frustrated too. Oh God. We had an agency sending millions of dollars to Japan. The task was just simply to convert Japan to Islam. In 6 years, we only converted 1 person. I wonder how many millions they poured into other countries to convert them. But the Japanese project was a colossal failure. We later found out he wasn't even Japanese. He was a foreign worker. I'm sorry, I don't know, I just find this incredibly funny. Listen, I'm a simple man. I'm a very simple man. I find it hilarious that he admits straight up that the goal was literally pouring millions of dollars into foreign nations to convert them to Islam. But it was not a good investment in Japan because they only converted 1 guy, and they later found out that he wasn't even Japanese. He was a guy on a visa. Absolutely diabolical, like truly diabolical. Now, for the reasons I've mentioned, as well as many others that we're going to be talking about, because apparently there's a certain character named A Fraud in Japan. Sorry, that just rolled off the tongue too well. But there's a massive drama going on in Japan. They elected Sanae Takaichi. She was elected as the Prime Minister of Japan. This lady is considered a far-right authoritarian by the libtards in the West. Her basic goal is deport.
私は外国人との穏やかなお互いに思いやりを持って生きられる。どうすればできるん？一遍ゼロベースで考えるつもりです。毎年私たちと文化や何もかもがあんまりにも。
Wow. I love all other nations, but I noticed that our culture seems to change a little bit. All of a sudden, there's a lot more cousin fucking happening in Japan, and that really never happened before. I personally can't possibly figure out what that is, but for some reason it happens. I don't know. I can't believe all of these Japanese people are starting to vandalize property with graffiti, specifically spelling foreign languages. That's so weird. That is so weird. It's so weird that specifically in Pakistani communities in Japan, you have native Japanese people, as well as white Christians and Zionists out there vandalizing property. Now, I don't want to be Islamophobic here because I fear Zoran Mamdani's aunt might have a conniption if she sees this video. Now, obviously, Japan is going down a certain path. As you can see, this is Sanae with Trump. They actually are kind of besties at this point, it seems. Things are going really, really interestingly because both of them basically ran their entire election on deportations. They were elected by massive majorities, and they're beloved by the majority of their people because they want to deport. They want to deport. They're like, no, actually, we do not want to import third world people to turn our country into a third world country. We actually like our country. We like our civilization. We like our people. We don't actually want to see it destroyed from the inside. And it turns out that is just it's a pretty beloved platform. I know. The suicidal empaths and radical feminists do not love this. Or people that, I guess, have tourist companies in Japan do not seem to love this. But the point is, the crash outs are diabolical. Now, Japan has been so pro-Trump, you have Japanese girls, honestly, cosplaying Trump at like conventions. Like, you have Trump cosplays where they all get together and they do the Trump dances. That's how much they love Trump, because the concept of deporting people that are coming to fuck your country is actually a pretty palatable perspective. Now, there was recently a debate that happened. This is a surprise. I wasn't even going to include this in the video, but this just popped up on the timeline. Between these two guys, Andrew Wilson and this guy Daniel, I don't know who he is. But essentially, it was a debate over which nation makes better civilizations. Does Christianity or does Islam create better civilizations? Now, I didn't see the whole debate because it's like 2 hours long, but I saw this 20-second clip, and honestly, it's over. You don't need to see more than this 20-second clip, in my opinion.
If IQ is the end-all be-all, your entire argument is on the basis of IQ. You haven't said, you just say, oh, marrying your cousin, effing your cousin, that is degenerate. On the basis of what? It's not on the basis of your Bible. It's just, yeah, laugh it up.
Oh my God. Yeah, effing your cousin is degenerate, you say, but on what basis? Yes, the inbreeding rate is incredibly high, and therefore the average IQ is between 70 and 80, but by what possible metric do you consider cousin fucking a bad thing? He says with his, like, entire chest out. Dude, this is one of the most diabolical moments I've ever seen in my entire life. Now, I personally think that might be the funniest thing I've ever seen. Now, Think Before You Sleep just made a video called Japan's Biggest Liar with Chris Broad on the thumbnail with fraud. Get it? A fraud in Japan? Sorry. But the point is, I have no idea what we're doing here. Like, I know that Chris Broad recently did like a whole Japan video essentially saying, what do you mean? Japan's not really in a bad state. Japan's wonderful. It's better than ever. So I have no idea what we're going to be diving into here. Well, it's not exactly true. I do sort of have an idea because Think Before You Sleep is a friend of mine. So I did know this video was coming, but I don't actually know the content of the video. I just knew it was happening. All right. So I'm excited to see what we got. This is going to be pretty scary because I feel like I know a lot of the characters in this Japanese, English speaking scene. So this is going to be diabolical. But anywho, I guess we're going to actually do a objective glance. Was Japan going to shit, and is there an actual legitimate reason why they elected a so-called far-right fascist to deport the immigrants?
All over the wall. Somebody illegally dumped their household trash here. This has been here for weeks. There's even graffiti on the abandoned house.
Wow.
This isn't London. It's not New York. This is actually Tokyo, Japan.
Never would I have imagined that a small video about graffiti would cause such a firestorm. For those of you who don't know, this is a YouTuber.
Dude, I feel like I missed this saga. Like, I knew that there was, like, this drama. Like, I know that this girl, Oriental Pearl, I don't know anything about her. She released this video, it's not this one. Oh, what happened to Japan? And she basically, and the thesis was, in her video, she was like, yeah, there's a lot more, like, vandalism and graffiti and stuff happening in Japan, and it's due to immigration, essentially. And Chris Broad made, like, a defense saying, actually, Japan's pretty great. The immigration isn't really affecting Japan. From my perspective, that was the beef. I don't know anything more than that, but I'm excited to see what we got.
Who goes by Oriental Pearl or
some say she was lying for content. I guess we'll see.
Alyssa. A little while back, Alyssa made this video here called What is Happening to Japan?
Holy dislikes!
Where she goes into various places in Tokyo and talks about criminal activity, teenagers in poverty, and homelessness.
It's sad. There's a lot of elderly homeless people in Japan and an alarming number of young homeless, which was not very common in the past.
In response, Chris Broad, who probably has the biggest foreigner in Japan YouTube channel based on monthly views, went onto Facebook.
Yeah, he's huge.
Twitter, Reddit, the YouTube community tab,
Bro.
and Alyssa's comment section to show his disgust at her video, calling her a grifter who produces sensationalist content.
Damn. Wow, that's pretty intense. This is the most ridiculous video I've seen in 13 years living in Japan. There was a graffiti a decade ago. There's graffiti now. Kabukicho may be busier now, but it was far dirtier, more dangerous 10 years ago. This sort of sensationalist content might get views, but it's not painting the objective reality on the ground. So basically, he was pretty pissed off that she was saying that Japan is becoming, going downhill because of immigration. See, I have an opinion here, and this opinion is actually going to be a little bit diabolical. If you import the third world, then you introduce the third world to your first world nation. It is not surprising to me at all that if you introduce people that, let's say, come from a society where, I don't know, rape is legal, it might actually increase the rate of rape in your society. Like, I really think that is, like, basic logic. Now, I know that some people are going to tell me that, not all cultures are equal. There's no such thing as an inferior culture, which is definitely the politically correct, BBC, British liberal guy's perspective. But it's also a lie. That's not true. Not all cultures are the same. Some cultures are worse than other cultures. In fact, a lot of cultures are just straight up dog shit, and I don't want them in my culture. All right, I'll be real. All right, so this might be the canceled Nux perspective. But listen, there's a reason why they elected a quote unquote far right fascist running the deportation ticket. All right, like, let's be honest. If multiculturalism in Japan was actually working super well and everything in Japan was going super swimmingly and nice, all right, and integrating new people into Japanese society was actually a gigantic positive for society, I don't think they would have had a super majority vote for Sanae, who ran a ticket on mass deportations and the complete ending of all immigration, legal and illegal, all right? They would not have voted for this lady if they didn't notice a noticeable, downfall of Japanese culture. So, again, I think this is like, I'll be real, just purely on the idea of the fact that she won the election by such a landslide. It just makes me kind of believe that, getting massive amounts of immigration from Pakistan was not actually beneficial for Japan.
Designed to make Japan look bad in exchange for views and money, instead of, a person who's trying to look after her community and reflect the interests of the local Japanese people. After seeing the comments that Chris made, Alyssa wrote a post on Facebook and made this video asking him to remove the comments, which...
L-take. Never do that. Never ask someone to remove the comment. That makes it look like silencing criticism. Huge L-take. That's a bad play.
I get why she said it, but in my opinion, this is a dumb decision because
agreed.
It sounds like she's trying to censor her critics.
Nah, you never do that.
A lot of problems with this post other than just being...
Defeat him in the marketplace of ideas. You don't defeat him by, crying about him deleting his comments or whatever. Like, it's the same thing with, the Ben Shapiro, Nick Fuentes thing. Dude, they obviously don't see eye to eye on stuff. So debate it out, all right? Don't just censor people to oblivion because of opinions you don't like. Destroy him on the marketplace of ideas.
Malicious, unnecessary. I asked him to take it down. It's still up.
Yeah.
If you can.
This was a bad move. Chris was accusing her of some pretty harsh and untrue things, but I don't think she should have said that. Anyway,
all right.
Let's talk about this video here that Chris made where he copies Alyssa's title, What is Happening to Japan?
Bro! I didn't even realize he copied her title. So the obvious plan here is to destroy her in the algorithm. He's a much bigger channel. He's going to use basically the same thumbnail with the same title. He'll always pop up first in the YouTube algorithm.
Originally, before Chris made this video, I wasn't really going to talk about this drama outside of a small mention in a different video that I was already working on. However, Chris's video was so dishonest and manipulative that I'm surprised that it wasn't made by Hassan Piker.
Oh boy, what are we getting into? There ain't no way you're going to say that Chris is Hassan Piker tier. Wait. So, for the record, I don't know Chris. I know the other, Japanese YouTube people, or at least I used to know them back in the day. We definitely went separate paths for sure. But dude, I mean, to be fair, they literally are buddies, right? I'm pretty sure Chris and Hassan are buddies. Hassan went on the podcast, that Trash Taste podcast there.
And the worst part is that you can't tell he's being manipulative unless you know a lot about his channel, have insider information on the subject, and can interpret statistics. So of course everyone took Chris aside because his following is much bigger, and it requires at least 10 seconds of research to prove some of his points as false. Well, this video didn't help either,
oh boy.
But the lack of fact-checking of Chris's video, particularly from other YouTubers, was disgusting. Now, full disclosure, I've been friends with Alyssa for about a year. She helped out a lot with my Japan trip, so I do have a bias.
Wait, so you're telling me that basically the entire YouTube drama ecosystem jumped on this drama and basically took his word as gospel? Uh-oh. Chris is not manipulative? I don't know. I haven't seen the video yet. Dude, I'm watching the same as you. I don't really have some sort of preconceived bias to Chris. I don't know him, to be honest.
However, I've been a fan of Chris's channel for probably close to 10 years, so I think that cancels out the friend bias. I'm not taking Alyssa's side because we're friends. I'm taking her side because I think Chris is wrong on this subject and was highly manipulative. And also because in order to make his point, Chris essentially rubber stamps vandalism, which particularly pisses me off because as an American...
No way Chris goes down the super woke rabbit hole of, well, actually, the Black Lives Matter protests weren't actually violent because they only vandalized property. Well, I mean, to be fair, it was overwhelmingly peaceful. It wasn't violent or anything. They only committed vandalism and arson.
I'm tired of people constantly...
It was actually cultural enrichment when they put shit on your building.
...defending criminal behavior. It's not a violent riot where people are setting buildings on fire. It's a mostly peaceful protest. Oh, come on. The graffiti's not that bad. There's always been graffiti in Japan. Look, here's some graffiti from the 90s.
Yeah, I completely disagree with this take. I think if you're doing vandalism, it doesn't matter, and it shouldn't happen, and it's fucking bad.
Therefore, it's okay. That doesn't matter, Chris. Unless the property owner consented to it being there, it's a crime.
I agree.
And it's not wrong for Alyssa to be upset about that.
Completely
Clearly,
agree.
Japanese people don't think it should be there because there are anti-graffiti signs everywhere in Japan. Anyway, let's get into Chris's video.
The other day I started receiving messages from people asking me if Japan is okay, linking a rather ominous sounding video.
Bro! Did he blur her face in her thumbnail and not show her channel name? That is so sneaky. That is so sneaky. Anyone that wants to find her will know who it is, okay? Anyone. But it's also like, I'm like avoiding accountability. Like, I'm avoiding accountability. I'm not like harassing her, obviously. I'm not like harassing her because I literally censored her face. I censored her face. What do you mean? What do you mean I censored her face? I'm not, dude, that's wild.
Called What is Happening to Japan. It wasn't just the time.
This is like when Hassan Piker is like, oh, that one anime VTuber guy is like a pedophile stalker, and they'll slander the fuck out of me, but he won't use my name so that he can't actually get sued for it. Again, I'm not saying that this is an equivalent of that. I'm just saying get used to this snake shit.
Title and thumbnail that were ominous, but the description reading, "Is Japan cooked? I've seen a lot of changes and things seem to be getting worse."
Bro, it's a description of a YouTube video. That means nothing. You've got to be kidding me.
In an era where I'm now being sent daily AI videos and photos that sorely misrepresent Japan from bizarre and questionable accounts, it made an almost refreshing change to be sent something produced by a human being.
Bro, old enough to bark, old enough to spark. No, dude, what are we talking about, man?
Yeah, why didn't you have a crash out about that problem?
True.
I mean, those AI videos constantly spread false information about Japanese culture. Personally, I think that's a much bigger issue as YouTube is flooded with them. So where's the video about that? Anyway, let's talk about Tokyo, more specifically a part of Tokyo called Kabukicho.
For half of the runtime of the video, the creator in question walks through Kabukicho in Shinjuku.
Sorry about the instant pause, but you might notice that throughout the video, Chris continuously blurs Alyssa's face and her channel name, and calls her the creator in question instead of by her name or by her YouTube channel.
I don't know. I find that so sneaky. Like, if you want to engage with it, just engage with it, man.
Why is he blurring her face? Why is he blurring her face out? And no reference to the channel? Oh, no way.
You don't want them to watch the source material so that you can manipulate it better? Like, that's really sneaky.
No way he did that.
Allow me to point out that this is not to protect her from Chris's viewers harassing
That's bullshit. That's not a real thing. If someone wanted to go harass her, they will find her.
her, which is something that will happen anytime you criticize someone, no matter what preventative actions you take. But Alyssa has a channel with over 1 million subscribers. Anyone who would write a mean comment about her already knows who Chris is talking about. So this is not an altruistic protective move. What's actually going on here is that he's using an old Twitch streamer technique of purposefully not mentioning people by name.
Bro,
because big
it's the Hassan strat!
Creators know that the easier they make it to find the person they're criticizing, the more followers they will bleed to their opposition.
That's why Hassan Piker will slander the fuck out of me and he'll never mention me by name because he doesn't actually want his audience to ever find my videos to actually watch the context of when I criticize him. They're just like, oh yeah, that guy's just... He's a VTuber, pedophile, stalker, Nazi. Yeah, he has no real criticism. He just hates me because he hates Muslims. And that's like the type of shit he says about me. And his audience could never actually go watch my videos. I realize that I don't hate Muslims, obviously. I just hate Islam. That was a joke. Just kidding. I just don't want it on my blog. I'm a simple man.
Because it allows followers to fact check their favorite creator and sympathize with the person that they're criticizing. This is a strategy that Hassan Piker and friends love using, so that less people will find out that actually the creator in question is not as bad as you made them out to be.
Hassan calls out the haters and slop-tubers.
I'm so glad he brought this up. This is the same thing, man.
Oh my god. All the fucking haters on like it suck my dick too. Oh my god. All the fucking slop tubers.
Obviously talking about me here, but he's never gonna mention my name.
True.
Just in case one person from his audience checks out my channel and realizes that Hassan is a complete fraud and
True. Completely true, by the way. This is literally the strat every single time. This is the classic Hassan strategy. Honestly, this is the classic, like, leftoid strat. The leftoid strat is all about not actually engaging with the opposing argument while simultaneously discrediting them completely. That is leftoid politics.
everything.
Chris blurring Alyssa's face is him basically saying, I'm afraid of losing followers, so I'm going to intentionally make it harder to fact check what I'm saying. I mention this because Chris very clearly tells his audience to not watch Alyssa's content or do any critical thinking for themselves. I don't care how bad you think the content is, outwardly discouraging your followers from watching the source material for themselves so they can come to their own conclusions is immoral.
I agree, actually. Just here to not watch your video and give you a thumbs down. And, like, you're just taking that guy's word for it. Like, also, like, you have to realize, doesn't Chris Broad have, like, a massive tourism company? Like, his entire channel is based on, like, a tourism company. Like, he has everything to gain by making Japan look better, right? He literally has everything to gain by being a straight-up Japan propagandist. I'm not saying that, like, he is. I'm just saying that there's a very good reason why he would want to criticize this video from, like, a very biased standpoint.
But, you know, I wonder why he would say that. Maybe people would find out that he's lying about some things. Maybe he's avoiding important arguments. Maybe he edited things out of context or said she said things that she didn't say. Well, why don't we get into that?
For half of the runtime of the video, the creator in question walks through Kabukicho in Shinjuku, Japan's biggest nightlife district, with a reputation for being dirty and gritty, filming bin bags, litter, and homeless people. And it's at this point I need to reiterate, if you don't know Japan...
Are these are real things. I don't know why that's bad.
Kabukicho or Shinjuku can be a bit of a shock. And in recent years, it's been gentrified more than perhaps anywhere in Tokyo. It used to be genuinely quite dangerous. In the short-form content, the same videos show the litter being intercut at times with foreign tourists, who are queuing unremarkably to take a photo of the Toho Godzilla statue.
I mean, I don't know who edited this, but this shot looks like a bunch of Japanese people loitering, not tourists.
Yeah, that definitely does not look like tourists.
So a real good example of your points. The next shot has tourists in it, which I guess Chris is using to suggest that Alyssa is a racist trying to make people hate foreigners. But also note that Kabukicho is a massive tourist spot, so it's really hard to take B-roll footage without showing tourists. More importantly, Chris avoids those
I literally don't even know what the criticism is.
Main point about Kabukicho, which is not about trash on the street, but about prostitution being made worse by COVID lockdowns.
Right.
Wait, you're not even gonna address the fact that the main criticism of her video is prostitution?
After the pandemic, a lot of runaways from all across the country, even really young kids, middle school and high school age, came and gathered here at Toyoko Hiroba. So there were the Toyoko kids, the runaways from Japan, all across the country that came to Shinjuku. They'd stay in the manga cafes.
That's horrible.
They'd work, you know, not legal jobs during the
that's
daytime.
horrible.
But you don't see them.
See, again, not all cultures are the same. Not all cultures are equal. Japan culture absolutely has its downsides. They work until you drop. Birth rate is 0. There's a lot of like abusive parents, from what I understand. And you have like these people that feel like, you know, I need to make a mark on the world. I need to make a living, or I need to kill myself. Those are the options: make a living or die. And that, you know, winds up with a lot of people in really rough situations.
So much anymore because it became so famous in Japan that the police had to get involved and put a stop to it. And I had never seen anything like this in Japan before. Not only the professional ladies of the night standing out here, but also the amateurs.
The narrative from Cho was not primarily about trash or rats. It was about minors fleeing from their homes because school shutdowns from COVID lockdowns were forcing them to be around their abusive parents a lot more. A lot of people don't realize this, but if you have...
Dude. Children that sell themselves as prostitutes, man. That's a pretty valid fucking criticism of Japan. Also, a very good explanation as to why Hassan Piker went to Japan. But that's a discussion for another day.
Bad parents, school sports and clubs can be a very effective escape from that. So because these kids couldn't use school programs to escape because they were shut down, Teens ran away, and a lot of them were forced to turn to sex work to survive. I mean, Alyssa spends around 20% of the runtime of her video talking about this.
That's horrible.
But Chris just completely skips over the biggest tragedy in Alyssa's content and moves on to homeless people.
Wait, so he doesn't even mention the fact that her major criticism was about prostitution, child prostitution? Bro? Yikes! And then you tell them not even to watch her video, just to go leave a dislike or whatever? Like, bro.
Well, in Shinjuku, which I guess is easier for him to
You're just gonna casually sidestep the glaring Epstein-sized nuke of mass child prostitution?
The area is also synonymous with Tokyo's homeless population as far back as 2003, when the film Tokyo Godfathers shone a spotlight on the long-standing homeless population, which, according to the statistics, is thankfully going down. And if you walk around there today...
What the fuck even is this graph? Number of homeless people in Japan. 2003, 25,000. 2022, 5,000. Whatever. Obviously, I don't trust statistics, because I know statistics in the West are fucked up because the leftoids have decided to manipulate all of them. For all you know, that they're just not going to count people that are living in manga cafes as homeless anymore. Like, they could just they just change the style of aggregation, for all you know.
Compared to 10 years ago, there are far less homeless people.
Okay, so Chris has provided us with some numbers about homelessness, so let's fact check them. Now, he did a terrible job of citing his exact resource, but thanks to AI and 7 years of experience, I was able to find this graph.
Oh, shit!
First of all, these numbers seem a little bit low. There's only a couple thousand homeless people throughout the entire...
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think of that. Oh my god, yeah, 5,000 You think there's 5,000 homeless people in all of Japan? Sure!
Country in a population of 120 million? That's very difficult to believe. How are these numbers being collected?
This is another problem that people have, is that they look at data, but they don't have any sort of understanding of how data collection methods work. And so they only can look at outcomes, and they can't look at processes or, you know, basically...
He's right. That's why people will be like, oh, there's more right-wing violence than left-wing violence in America. Like, January 6th happened. And also, let's not include... Let's count 9/11 as right-wing violence. Also, let's count 9/11 as right-wing violence. Let's count the guy that tried to assassinate Trump as right-wing violence. Bro!
The way that the data was collected.
So apparently...
Oh, Black Lives Matter? Oh, that's not political violence. That doesn't count as political violence. No, obviously. The protests against the ICE agents? No, that doesn't count as political violence. No, that's just people fighting for their families, you know. That's totally different. It's fighting against institutional racism. It's not political.
Apparently, the Japanese government is notorious for undercounting homeless people, which is why...
You heard of Hitler? That's right-wing violence. Right-wing violence, ladies and gentlemen. How many people did we lose in World War II? That's what we called right-wing political violence. All right, that's how we do the math.
Oriental Pearl was bringing attention to it. And if you actually look at the paragraph right below the headline, it says that these stats do not count people who live in internet or manga cafes.
I told you! Literally, that's how they manipulate the numbers, because they want the numbers to look good. Because that's the strategy. The strategy is manipulating numbers in order to make believe to the world that things are better. This is the old school strat, right? You puff out your chest so people think that you're a macho, when in reality, you're just full of hot air.
Which is important
every
because
time.
This was a major point in Alyssa's video.
So if you don't know, internet and manga cafes are like everywhere in Japan. They're like, you get this little cubicle, which is like a computer and a mattress, all right? And you could live there for basically nothing. It's super cheap to get like one of those little cubicles. And that is not a residence. That does not count as a home. So that person, by my calculation, is homeless. But Japan doesn't count it.
There's actually a newer article from the same website that also says that manga cafes were not counted. Not having a permanent residence means that these people are still considered homeless. For those of you who don't know, a manga cafe is basically a building full of cubicles with a bed and a computer, and you can stay at them overnight for anything from $13 to $16 a day, which is around $400 to $500 a month. People in Japan do this because you can't get an apartment unless you have a stable job, and oftentimes you have to come up with the amount of 6 months of rent in advance before they let you live there, which is nearly impossible for some of these people to get. Japan is in
it's a rough economy there.
Serious need for some protective legislation for renters. But how many people are living in manga cafes? Well, here's an article that said they counted 4,000 people just in Tokyo.
Bro!
Just in Tokyo. So there's no way in hell the homeless numbers that Chris showed are accurate. But don't take it from me, take it from Joey, Chris's friend from Trash Taste.
Oh,
apparently, according to a government study just last year in 2023, they found out that only 3,065 homeless people exist in the entirety of the country. If we go back to this Japan Today article, they actually look into the fact that, hey, the way that these numbers were calculated might be a little bit skewed. Second is the method by which the numbers were collected for parks and riversides. Local government workers visited the sites in their territories and reported the number of homeless people they saw there. So any homeless person out of sight or out of the park at the time of the site's visit was not included in the tally.
That's interesting.
I wonder why Chris Broad never made a video criticizing Joey the Anime Man for talking about how many homeless people there are in Japan. I feel like he's being sensationalist for views, just like Oriental Pearl.
We aren't even talking about them not including the manga cafes here. The numbers that they were accounting in the government study weren't even accurate because, as Joey goes on to say in this video, there could be like a tent left out, but if a homeless person wasn't there at the time of the tally, they wouldn't be counted. Also, look at what else he says.
Nowadays, especially in Japan, there is actually a whole other crisis that is happening, which is actually resulting in a completely different demographic slowly becoming homeless. And that is actually kids. They're called Toyoko kids.
Bro.
Some ranging from as young as 14 years old. Maybe that's not on Japan's agenda right now. Maybe they're just too concerned of the whole tourism problem and the whole immigration problem and every other problem that Japan has been, quietly sweeping under the rug to make sure that the rest of the world doesn't know about it. But hey, unfortunately, they've got someone like me who is not afraid to pull the dust from under the rug. And
bro, Chris Broad, you've got to make a video on this guy. This guy's shitting on Japan. This guy's shitting on Japan. He's making it look pretty awful for basically the same reasons that other lady was.
Show you the unfortunate, ugly side to a country that is viewed by many people as a utopian society.
I mean, that sounds a lot like what Alyssa said in her video.
Yeah, wow, that actually sounds exactly like what Alyssa said.
So I'll expect that Chris will now do an update accusing Joey sensationalist content about Japan for views and money. But going back to the numbers, undercounting might not be the only issue with the research.
Dude, it's wild, man. Dude, the Japanese people en masse voted for the lady that was gonna deport the illegals. All right, that was literally why they voted for her, to stop immigration and to deport the illegals. You're gonna call the majority of Japan racist? You're gonna call the majority of the Japan problematic as to why they're seeing a decline in Japan? Bro, she ran her campaign on Make Japan Great Again. All right.
Most of the homeless people living outside are old men, so the number could be lower, not because Japan has done anything about the homeless problem, but simply because they are dying off and their younger replacements are choosing to live in manga cafes. Either way, this is a really embarrassing level of research that Chris has done. I haven't seen research this bad since the video on Noah Samson, or maybe Ethan is online. Chris couldn't even read the paragraph directly below the headline that puts the numbers in question. How is it that this kind of incredibly lazy research happens every time I fact-check someone? But here's the most egregious part about the whole homeless situation, though it's going to require a little bit of backstory. To start, Chris made a big deal about Alyssa adding additional graffiti to her thumbnail.
When I went to take the thumbnail for my video, I quickly noticed a few interesting differences between my original ungraded...
Bro, you're gonna criticizing her for embellishing her thumbnail? Really, dude? Really, bro? Oh my god. Thumbnail.
And the thumbnail...
Oh my god, she added graffiti in her thumbnail. This is truly diabolical.
A video. It is a...
Bro, you've got to be kidding. This is the most nothing criticism of all time. What is going on? I thought that we were going to just do this is just an excuse to say that the white girl is racist, right? The white girl is racist, that she hates the immigrants, and she's fascist, right? That's the video. And also Japan is a utopian society, and immigration and multiculturalism is actually good. And we need to import more foreigners, actually. That kind of seems like the way we're going. All right, so what's his channel's name? Chris Broad. All right, Chris Broad. Let's see what your thumbnails look like, guy. I expect to see no clickbait. All right. Popular videos. What not to do in okay, so these are all old videos. These are all old videos. All right, let's go. Let's go to a month ago. I tried stopping at every Tokyo station in a day. All right, I believe that. Japan's nightlife. Japan's worst tourist trap. Really? The worst tourist trap? The worst tourist trap? Oh my god. Like, dude, these are all clickbait thumbnails. Like, come on, dude. What are we talking about? Tourists banned. Yeah, all right, dude. Come on. What are we talking about? All right. Anyway.
Rather fascinating game of spot the difference.
All right, valid criticism. She said
it's a thumbnail. Who fucking cares? I've done worse.
her reasoning for doing this was because she was standing in front of some of the graffiti, so she added a little bit more so that people would get the point. I'm not sure if this is a creative decision that I would have made, but personally, if her claim is that there is more graffiti...
I would have made it. I would have made that same thing. I would have added a couple of graffiti in the background just to make a thumbnail better. Yep.
Graffiti in Japan, and she proves it in the video, then I don't think this creative choice for her thumbnail is the biggest sin in the world. Every creator who is popular sensationalizes their thumbnails in some way, and even Chris admits to doing that.
Some criticisms leveled at me is the
worst scam explained. Really, the worst scam in all of Japan.
That I also make sensationalist content and that I only show the nice side of Japan. And to that I would say there's a big difference between sensationalist content and clickbait titles and thumbnails. I hate having to
Bro, you've got to be kidding me. You come on. I've broken every single rule. Every single rule. What rules did you break? Were you going on a generational rape tour? Like, what do you mean every rule?
Stupid face. I hate my thumbnails and titles, but it is simply a matter of survival on an increasingly crowded platform that doesn't share your content unless it has a high click-through rate. And I tried to make up for the stupid faces and titles by delivering content that does the subject matter justice.
Right, so it's okay when you clickbait your thumbnails and titles, but not when Alyssa does it.
True.
It's sensationalizing when other people do it, but when you do it, it's not sensationalizing because you said you don't like doing it. Great cop-out.
Day in my life living in Tokyo was a mistake. Do you actually mean it was a mistake? So, like, are you planning on moving out? Because, I mean, otherwise, this is clickbait. Hey, look, in my most humiliating moment in Japan in 10 years, it's pretty awful. Oh, is it awful? Oh my gosh, what happened to him? He never uses or adopts any form of sensationalistic title in order to get how many? 1 million views. 1 million views. You literally pointed the finger at a person you blurred out, telling us how awful she was because of her sensationalistic and clickbaity titles in order to get the views, and you do worse.
Though here's the funny thing. It's only been a couple of weeks, and now there's like twice as much graffiti on that building that Alyssa used for her thumbnail.
So she was right! She was right, just in advance. She was pre-watching!
So you could say that she was ahead of her time on this one. Now, as
again,
far as
I personally don't have anything wrong with a little clickbait in a thumbnail. I think it's funny as fuck. It's the point is to get views. As long as you're not like, in my opinion, committing some sort of crime, I don't actually care.
Homeless stuff goes, this thumbnail drama is actually not my big issue. I'm just establishing how Chris says he doesn't like people using editing to distort the truth, even though not long after the upload, more graffiti was put on the building. However, in regards to the homelessness issue, there's a particular clip that Chris shows of Alyssa that makes her look really bad during this part here.
A few years ago, a friend showed me a clip of a video in which the same person walked through an economically deprived part of Tokyo filming homeless people.
Oh my gosh, this is a rough area.
Yeah, that looks pretty awful. It looks like she's making fun of homeless people here. And because of this cut that Chris made, Alyssa showed me that she got tons of comments from his fans saying that she was laughing at homeless people. But that's not what actually happened in this video.
No!
That Alyssa made. So for context, let me show you where that audio comes from. In this situation while she's filming, a homeless guy calls her over to talk to her. They talk for a bit, and this is how the conversation ends.
Oh my god! Wait, so she wasn't laughing at homeless people, she was like laughing nervously while getting sexually harassed by some old Japanese guy. And he took that out of context to make it look like she was laughing at homeless people.
2万円何買うんですか
Bro!
No. Oh my
That's
gosh,
gross.
this is a rough area. Yeah, ちょっとやばい話です。Yeah, ダメです。
So the audio that Chris used comes from her talking to a homeless person, and the clip of her laughing is actually her laughing uncomfortably because she was being sexually harassed.
Honestly, that might be one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. Like, that's slander. Like, you're telling me that she I don't know, man. I'm shocked. Like, I'm actually shocked that he did this. Like, criticizing her based on politics because you want it to look like a multicultural society is great and woke and shit like that, whatever. All right, whatever. But this is pretty fucking bad. Like, to clip her out of context to make it look like she's laughing at homeless people when in reality she's nervously laughing after getting sexually harassed, that's defamation. Like, that's actually crazy.
Chris decided to cut that up and put it with different B-roll to make it look like she was laughing at homeless people. I mean, that kind of sounds like defamation, buddy.
Yeah, it really
and
does.
I know he's aware that what he did was wrong because he cut it out of the video.
Bro.
This is what the video looks like now.
Slimy.
Wow.
And I mean, you never addressed it or anything. You just sneakily removed it. Stealth cut.
Years ago, a friend showed me a clip of a video in which the same person walked through an economically deprived part of Tokyo filming homeless people under the guise of showing the real
Bro, he just cut out that 2 seconds.
Japan.
It was in the video, and now it's not. So Chris, who is Mr. Morals, cut this moment.
So that means basically everyone that watched that video, this is the thing that sticks out at your mind. All right, rich white lady from America goes to Japan slums to laugh at homeless people. Like, that's the takeaway of this video.
Went out in the YouTube editor after people noticed what he did, and you know, maybe this was a mistake, so you would expect an apology or some
like Japanese Ludwig over here. What are we doing? This is crazy.
Sort of public acknowledgement of the clip and an explanation for why it was cut. But nope, he tried to memory hole something that millions of people saw before it was removed, which again sounds a lot like defamation. All right, let's talk about graffiti.
The other half of the runtime in these videos was dedicated to Nakameguro, a trendy district that's historically one of Tokyo's most artistic neighborhoods.
Wait, Chris, that's not true. The second half is not just about Nakameguro. There's a pretty large section of that video dedicated to graffiti in Shibuya.
Here we are in Shibuya now.
Interesting. Why would he leave that out, though?
And of course, you're very familiar with the Shibuya cross.
Is he trying to say that all of the graffiti is kind of concentrated in one little area, so it's not like there was some sort of downfall of Japan, which is why they voted in a radical deportation Nazi? Bro.
Which is right ahead of us. But what you're less familiar with is what I want to check out today. Graffiti, again, next to Louis Vuitton. Check this out.
So again, like, if you're coming from, like, LA, this doesn't seem like anything to you. But in Japan, like, you don't break the rules, you know? And personally, I think it should be, like, actually punished in America as well, on a much higher level. I think it's super important to actually enforce laws, because if you don't enforce laws, then you end up becoming a shithole, and that's what happened to California, for example. It's happening to New York in real time. Like, I feel like you need to enforce laws, or you just absolutely let it all slip. You need to have values.
This is right by my Chinese school.
So weird that it's in English letters. It's probably those English-speaking Japanese people.
Well, I have to see this every freaking day. The city actually did come and repaint this whole bridge because it looked like that green wall before. But as you see...
Bro! They're doing it again!
It's already back.
It's disgusting. It really is. Like, it really is. I hate vandalism. I'm just such a big fan of the whole, I know, call me old-fashioned. You know how it says in the Bible, thou shalt not steal? That includes vandalism or destruction of property in any way. Unacceptable, man.
That's a new one. That's a new one.
It's really interesting to pay attention to which things that Chris chooses to leave out, especially considering that I've been a viewer for many years. So I know why Chris might want to leave Shibuya out of his criticism of Alyssa's content, despite it being a large section of her video. I also find his reassurance to people in his Twitter crash out that Shibuya is not that bad to be a little suspicious as well.
The sensationalist Japan content is getting out of hand. A wall with some graffiti on in Shibuya doesn't mean Japan is at an end. There was graffiti in Shibuya 10 years ago. There's graffiti in Shibuya today. Yep, nothing bad is happening. Totally. Nothing different. It's all the same.
And that's because Chris owns a bar in Shibuya that's really
oh boy,
close to that famous crosswalk that Alyssa shows in her video.
I told you, man, this smells like bias.
I've actually been to Chris's bar. I was just there about a month ago, and it was exclusively foreigners, like exclusively his fan base. I don't think any of the locals go there. It's clearly a tourist trap. So you can understand why Chris might want to forget to mention a place that Alyssa was suggesting had a ton of graffiti. And that's
you don't want to mention that your bar is next to a shithole. You want to, like, calm everyone down. Say that it's in that it's in the basin of beautiful, uncompromised, glorious Japan.
Crime rate than other places in Tokyo, considering that it was not that far from his business.
Wow.
Actually, Kabukicho isn't even that far from it either. Like, if you were planning a day trip, you would hit Kabukicho/Shinjuku, Meiji Shrine, and the big Shibuya crosswalk, which is by Chris's bar, all on the same day. So again, it's a little suspicious that he chose to not bring up the Shibuya part of our video on his YouTube channel, where it would have far more reach than his Twitter account. But anyway, let's continue with Tokyo's Meguro district.
A few years ago, I think it was...
So wow, so he left that part out of the video, and he was just making it sound like she was talking about the graffiti in one area. Yikes.
2019, there was quite a lot.
Like, you realize he could have just been like, yeah, and then she talked about, you know, graffiti in Shibuya and Meguro or whatever.
Graffiti, and the local schools got together to paint over it, and then the graffiti came back again. But when Japanese TV made a video on it, interviewing locals, interestingly, they didn't intercut it with shots of Asia's biggest nightlife district and call it What is Happening to Japan. They called it Residents Express Discomfort at 37 graffiti sites found around Nakameguro Station. And maybe that's why, despite having twice the number of subscribers, they only got 100,000 views.
You've got to be kidding me. Like, this is the most slimy content I've ever seen. I've never watched one of his, like, actual drama videos, but you're saying that she should have titled her YouTube video like it was a CNN tabloid, and then she wouldn't get views? She should title her videos in a way to specifically not get views. Residents in Nakameguro express discomfort at graffiti. Well, no one in America ever heard of Nakameguro, okay? What are we doing? This is crazy. Who cares about the amount of subscribers the channel has? CNN, the YouTube channel, has 20 million subscribers and doesn't get views on their videos because they upload infinite content because it's a news site. Also, this is a Japanese news site. How many Americans are watching a Japanese news site with a YouTube video titled Residents in Nakameguro Express Discomfort at Graffiti? Who cares? You've got to be kidding me. Nah, this is a diabolical switch up.
Instead of almost 500,000.
Bro, her thumbnail is better. Her title is What is Happening to Japan, targeting an English-speaking audience, which is much bigger. Much bigger. Dude, this is slimy. Holy crap.
Traditional media attempting to present news in an objective manner in 2025.
Bro, you are literally doing the same thing. You're covering news in a subjective bullshit manner too. You used the same title that she did.
He's essentially...
Dude, this is a really douchey nitpick. It really is. No YouTuber titles their videos like CNN articles in foreign languages.
Saying that it's fine if Alyssa talks about graffiti, but not if she talks about graffiti and Kabuki-cho in the same video? YouTubers are only allowed to cover one problem that Japan is having per piece of content? Outside of that, after hearing that last point from Chris, I have fully started to believe that he is either retarded or highly manipulative.
No, he's got to be manipulative. He's a YouTuber for 10 years. He knows absolutely how to make YouTube videos. He knows that when you title a YouTube video, you want to get views on it. So you'll title it What Happened to Japan, not Residents in Makabukuro are slightly aggravated at graffiti in the city from a Japanese news station. Right, come on, dude.
Because anyone who is big on this website would know that Alyssa and this Japanese news channel are appealing to different audiences, and thus they will get different outcomes. The English market on YouTube is far bigger than the Japanese market because more people speak English, so naturally, just by putting your video out in English, you are more likely to get views.
But this is also an example that's in Japanese, and so you can't really compare that to an English video.
Actually, speaking of, most of the reason that I have an issue with Chris's stance on crime in Japan is because he's saying it in English, meaning that it's not really going to affect the ideas of Japanese people. However, it will have an effect on Westerners who already have incredibly soft on crime stances.
It's because he's cucking out to the libtard audience, man. It's because that's exactly who he's appealing to. Graffiti? Why is graffiti a problem? It's just people expressing their culture. Excuse me?
Which is a part
of my house?
The reason why America has massive crime rates compared to Japan. After watching that girl get stabbed on a train by a crazy violent felon who was let off when he should have been in prison, of course I'm going to get mad when somebody with a big audience on YouTube says in English, "Come on guys, graffiti isn't that bad. Actually, sometimes it looks kind of cool, so it doesn't matter if the property owners don't want it there."
Bro.
Anyway, this comparison between Japanese media and Alyssa's channel is retarded for numerous reasons that have nothing to do...
that just goes to show that there's manipulation there, even to make this argument.
...with Alyssa being an evil profiteer who is sensationalizing Japan for money. What's actually happening is that this Japanese channel is one in a different language, and therefore...
Yeah, dude, who's gonna fucking watch FFN and with like a bunch of Japanese symbols? Like, I would never ever click on any of these videos in my life. Like, the titles are Japanese. Like, I would never click on any of these videos. And he's like, she doesn't have integrity because she doesn't title her videos the way this channel does.
Or in a different market. 2, it's one of those news channels that uploads like 1 million videos a day.
Yeah.
So none of their videos do particularly well despite their high subscriber count. I scrolled down through 2 weeks of content and 0 videos hit 500,000 views. Most of their well-performing videos were about the new prime minister, actually. And last, they do their content in the style of old media, which young people...
You know why the new prime minister is getting clicks? Because everyone's really excited to see deportations for some reason that I can't put my finger on.
Find boring these days. Also, the title the news company gave the video is really bad and not formatted for YouTube success. But Chris, how are you not able to see this as a channel with 3 million subscribers? Again, No,
he knows this. That's how you know that there's something sneaky going on. He obviously knows all of this.
Either retarded or he's being super dishonest here to make Alyssa look bad, and he can get away with it because normies don't understand this stuff about media. And on a final note, on the graffiti part, outside of his bar being in one of the areas that Alyssa was talking about, I'm not even sure what Chris's issue was, because all the Japanese people I see commenting on this in videos are essentially agreeing with Alyssa about the graffiti.
So in this case, I don't think Oriental Pearl is exaggerating or sensationalist. Seeing that much graffiti in Japan, it's not usual.
So you're telling me that this dude cucked out to the lip-dart audience, meanwhile the actual native Japanese people were like, yeah, she's so right. Oh my god, tell me you're disrespecting the culture without telling me you're disrespecting the culture.
That corner is actually here. It's actually getting worse. 2023.
Oh no!
So if her point is like, oh yeah, Japan's getting more graffitis everywhere and trash everywhere. Yeah, I didn't know about this myself. It seems like she's actually true.
There are also multiple news reports of Japanese people saying they don't want the graffiti there. So why are you defending criminals by saying it's not that bad, Chris? It is bad.
Leftoid brain rot. That's why. Leftoid brain rot. Multiculturalism good. Infinite immigration. Bring in the immigrants.
90% of the graffiti looks like shit, and it's expensive to remove.
Living here for all these years with my Japanese husband, I've never seen the vandalism this bad. It's
Wait, so she actually moved to Japan. She actually lives there.
Yes, we can see it every...
She didn't just do like a Tyler Oliveira video where she went to Japan and is like, I went to India, we're gonna throw poop at each other, right? She didn't do like one of those, you know? Like, she actually lives there.
Day. It makes me very sad too, because this is a provable news story going on across Japan. Like this recent story from Kobe, where 2 guys graffitied the wall in the middle of the night, causing thousands of dollars in property damage.
That's crazy.
In Niigata, the same thing happened, and it cost $40,000 almost to clean this up.
That's crazy. That's disgusting. It really is. Again, this is theft. This is straight up literal theft.
It's no surprise that some cities can't afford to clean this up, even though Japanese really do hate graffiti. And
imagine needing to do this because you decided to be nice and welcome people from other cultures into your society. Like, literally, why?
There's a theory that this will cause more crime in the area.
Allow me to add a fact-checking note to say that the headline said it cost 4 million yen to remove, which is about $26,000, not $40,000. Before it would have been around $40,000, but the yen has gotten much weaker. Well, either way, it's still expensive to remove, but that won't stop Chris from minimizing criminal behavior.
So at this point, you might be thinking, okay, right, so what's happened to Japan? What happened next? Lean in. Come closer. Come over. That was it. That was literally it. In a country of 120 million people, they were all cooked because of some bin bags in a red light district and some spray paint on a wall down 6 or 7 streets in the capital city.
Dude, I didn't realize Chris came off this pompous in his videos. You do realize that the majority of the Japanese people elected a very right-wing figure to deport people, okay? Obviously, this fucking matters, okay? To, you know, the majority of the country, actually. Bro, what is happening?
Yeah, and he's avoiding the issue of child homelessness that was brought up in the video.
Yeah, and literally, he's like, the only complaint is graffiti. And meanwhile, she's like, there's child prostitution, there's child homelessness, there's vandalism. And he's like, a little graffiti, mate, a little graffiti.
That was the primary reason that she was in Kabukicho. As for the title and the description, one, no one reads the description of any video
ever. Who cares about the description? Like, come on, dude, that's ridiculous.
Unless they're clicking on a sponsor.
You know, I'm gonna tell you something diabolical, all right? I don't write my descriptions. I tell my editor, like, we literally have a code word for it. I'm just like, add slop to the description. That's the code word that we use to define I don't even know what my descriptions look like at this point. Hold on, let me pull up one of my YouTube descriptions recently. I don't know what my editor's been doing. Hopefully it's been good. All right, so here's the recent video. My recent video about the Epstein files. Epstein files are getting released in Congress. It's absolutely diabolical. All right, so here's the description. Democrats try to hit Trump with a gotcha, but it ends up backfiring in the most insane way possible. An absolute mockery is made of the Democrats as more Epstein info comes out, and it really shows how deep it's in the Democrats' pockets. An absolutely diabolical update for you today. It's pretty good. Pretty good. All right, not bad. Not bad, editor. You fucking cook, brother. Not bad at all. So, you know, I literally just say add slop to the description because, you know, you kind of need to do it. And it means nothing.
Link or donation link, or the creator directly tells people to look.
I love how he's been like adding diabolical to all of my, like he's been adding like random Nux words and caps and shit. Based.
So no one is reading this here before the video and thinking,
yeah, no
oh
one is
my
reading
God,
this.
Japan
No one's reading this. And also, who cares? You have every right to write whatever you want.
is cooked. Because no one ever reads the
Who
description
cares?
before watching any video.
Who cares?
2, realistically, I don't think either of those are saying that it's the end of Japan. I think taken into context with
Who
the video,
cares?
it's just like, hey, there's a lot of graffiti in Japan and it keeps getting worse. Japan might be cooked in terms of graffiti. Also, there are some other problems, which I think is a fair point to make because as Chris's friend Joey said earlier, most foreigners seem to have this idea that Japan is this magical fairy tale anime land where everything is great and no bad stuff ever happens. I don't think it's a problem to talk about the issues that Japan is having, like the economy, or the constant pressure to be an alcoholic, or the gambling, or the lowering birth rates, or the mass availability of pornography with no barriers to keep children from seeing it.
Yeah, that's
and how
pretty
that
bad.
might be turning people into porn.
Again, I'm just saying, not all cultures are equal. You got advantages and disadvantages to a lot of cultures. Japan has its downsides, for sure, absolutely.
Addicts who don't want a relationship. There are plenty of things to talk about, and just because you, Chris, don't think graffiti is a big deal, doesn't mean...
I mean, to be fair, he probably thinks that, you know, porn addictions to minors is probably not a big deal either. But you never know. You never know.
I can't feel that way. Clearly, Japanese people think it's a problem, and they also have the perception that if they allow for crimes like vandalism to grow rampant, then it will invite in more serious...
We're not transing enough children here in Japan. We gotta work on that. We gotta work on that, everybody.
Crime. Now, statistically, I don't know if this is true, but I'm inclined to believe in whatever crime-preventing ideology that Japan has, because there is so much less crime there compared to America. Okay, but let's take a pause here, because I think Chris would say that that's not his core issue with Alyssa's content. Chris had a problem with Alyssa's video because it's a part of a growing trend of sensationalist content creators who are making content at the expense of Japan and talking about its downfall.
True.
Well, for one, does this content even have an effect?
I mean, to be fair, it's like, but you cannot compare her video as someone that moved to Japan, that loves Japan, to Johnny Somali, who came to shit on Japan. That's not comparable.
On Japan, it's all in English, so Japanese people probably aren't watching it. 2, if this is such a massive trend, then why is Alyssa the only person that you bring up in the video? Surely you have at least one other example. Now, Chris brings up Johnny Somali, but that's not the same type of content. And the suggestion that talking about homeless people and
You cannot compare, like, he actually compared this to Johnny Somali, the J word, bro. Like, this dude went around, like, shitting on people, literally, like, pulling his pants down, like, harassing people in public, like, bomb threats on trains. Like, you cannot compare this to Johnny Somali.
Juku is going to inspire 1 million Johnny Somalis to come to Japan is retarded. Plus, I think that maybe Johnny Somali and Vitaly going to prison forever for nuisance streaming is probably a pretty big deterrent from that kind of behavior. This might be a shock to Chris as he has done nothing but run positive PR for petty crimes, but the answer on how to stop those nuisance streamers is just to enforce the law and put them in prison or revoke their ability to come to Japan. I know it's shocking for a Westerner to hear this, but if you want to stop criminals, then put them in jail.
True.
All right, speaking of other stuff that pissed me off about Chris's video.
All these whack job leftoids abolishing prisons and shit. Get out of here.
There's a reason why I related Chris to Hassan Piker multiple times.
Uh-oh.
A part of that is because Chris is in the same social circle as Hassan, so it's not ridiculous to believe that they've talked before.
Yep.
But also, he keeps using fan-favorite disinformation tactics that Hassan and his stupid fan club love to use. For example, if you can't find someone saying something bad, then go to the most radical comments on their videos and use that to accuse them of saying what the comments say.
If you look at the comment sections, particularly on those shorts, you will see the most vile, hateful, angry comments that you can find.
Oh my god,
I'm
dude.
sorry, that one was actually...
You're criticizing her based on her comment section? Oh my god, dude. Also, let's just see what the comment section is about. Looks like Japanistan based. Cultural enrichment happened. That's what. True. True. That's disgusting. It's the tourists. Fair. Sad to see a nation going downhill. Fair. Diversity. Fair. Thanks, foreigners. Ruin it for everyone else who love to go to Japan. They treat foreigners as a collective. Yep. I didn't know Japan had diversity. Yep. Yeah. Again, these are the bad comments. These are the bad comments. Like what? These are the bad comments.
Really funny. I mean, if you think that someone's saying...
This dude gonna look at my comment section? Ooh. I'm gonna get obliterated. Nux, I've been looking at your comment section. I've been noticing those people, they're retarded. I've been noticing there's something crazy going on over there. Yeah, I noticed also, guys. Thanks so much. Let's go to my comment section on one of my recent videos. All right, here's a video about, honestly, the Islamic invasion of New York. All right, let's see. I'm excited. All right, let's look at the comment section. You see, if someone else, if she's getting canceled for her comment section, I'm gonna get murdered for mine. All right, I don't even mean that with like hyperbole. All right, Muslims don't have to apologize for a terror attack that happened 20 years ago, but I have to apologize for colonialism, Lamau. So true. Based. My Muslim co-worker told me he could kill me and God would reward him. We were taught thou shalt not kill. They were taught to kill for a reward. The Islamic slave trade was way bigger than the transatlantic. True, prove me wrong. You cannot hate Islam enough. Yep, Chris, don't look at my comment section. Do not look at my comment section. This is insane. Isn't she now colonizing New York City? Islam, communism, and open borders are mistakes. Chris, do not look at my comment section, all right? We love them, but they're rowdy. They're a rowdy bunch. These are, what you just saw were the weakest Nux viewers.
And looks like Japan.
I trained them to be so much more racist than that. That's truly weak. That's like B-tier racist at best. I trained them to at least shoot for white wizard tier racism.
Showing the benefits of diversity is as vile as the internet can get, then allow me to point you in the direction of all the people who cheered on Charlie Kirk getting murdered.
True.
Or the people who said that Irina Zarutska deserved to be stabbed on a train because white people deserve things like that. I mean, you're really reaching on this, Chris. This is probably the most polite, mean comment section that I've ever seen. Were these really the worst comments that you could find? But I see what you did there. You couldn't find Alyssa saying these things that you know your audience would find offensive. So
to be fair, like, you know the funniest part is, like, these comments, they're just, like, basic, slightly right-wing comments. They're not even, like, racist. They're just slightly right-wing. And that's enough. That's enough for it to be bad. Do you understand how insane that is? They're just slightly right-leaning comments.
I had to go into the comment section and use what other people said to make everybody think that Alyssa believes what the commenters are saying. For longtime fans of this channel, you might remember Noah Samson using this technique of, let's look at the worst comments I found, to get people to think that I hate Jews during the Illymation drama, which is just...
And then the crazy twist is, and then, you know, this guy turns around and then decides he just makes an entire channel based on hating Jews.
So ironic considering that just a few months later, he would start uploading nonstop Jew hate.
Dude, literally, this dude is an actual fucking Jew hatred machine. All right, everyone's like, oh my God, there's so many Nazis on the right. No. Yeah, I mean, true, there are some Nazis on the right, let's be real. The vast majority of Nazis these days, yeah, they're on the left.
Hatred content. And obviously I don't
National Socialists, they're called.
People for being born Jewish. But as for Chris, he's trying to convey that Alyssa doesn't like foreigners, and she's trying to make other people hate foreigners for money, which obviously is not the case. She obviously disagrees with these comments, considering that Alyssa, at multiple points in her video, tries to lower the temperature on the anti-foreigner sentiment. Here's an example from the video that Chris is reacting to, where she directly addresses these types of comments and says, hey, we don't know who's doing the vandalism.
When I did a short video the other day about the changes I've seen in Japan, the comment section was wild, and I did not expect that. Everyone had something to say about who done it. You know, a lot of finger pointing. It was this group. It was definitely them. It was whatever.
Makes sense.
I don't know who did the graffiti. It's not like I'm saying graffiti is a new thing. It's never existed in Japan before. What I'm saying is I see changes over the years, and there's...
How dare you call her out for this shit, man, when she's directly saying she doesn't know who did it, and you're painting her as some sort of like evil white racist that came to Japan. Like, this is wild.
Places where there's more graffiti than I've ever seen before.
She's saying that we don't know who did the graffiti to try to stop the anti-foreigner comments. Now, honestly, to be fair, do I think this was an effective way of doing that? No. Sorry, Alyssa. She should have said it at the start of the video to prevent the more prejudiced people watching from making assumptions early on. In fairness to her, though, Alyssa doesn't do a lot of controversial content. In fact,
I don't even think she needed to put that in the beginning of the video, to be honest. I'll be real, I don't even think she needed to put that in the beginning of the video. I think it's totally fine.
She actually tries to avoid it, so she doesn't know to do the stuff that I'm recommending. She doesn't have a sense of how much where you place things in your videos matters when you're talking about negative subjects. But whether or not her action was effective, if you watch the whole video, which I hope Chris did, if you watch the whole video, you can see that Alyssa is trying to get rid of the anti-foreigner sentiment, so her motivation is clear. And it's even clearer if you watch multiple videos from her. Though wouldn't it be a shame if someone made a video with 1.8 million views on it that directly blames foreigners for vandalism?
Oh boy! Oh me! Oh my! That's pretty weird.
And thus spreads anti-foreigner sentiment.
Don't carve your fucking name into the bamboo trees of Kyoto's Arashiyama.
Let me get this straight. You see someone's name carved in a bamboo tree, and you lose your fucking mind? But actual vandalism on someone else's property is totally fine? Like, you are so Western leftist brain rotted, it's tragic. Don't get me wrong. I think both are bad. Don't get me wrong. But, so, this vandalism is bad because this vandalism doesn't have an equivalent in American or Western culture. But vandalism in regards to spray painting stores where the store owners need to spend $26,000 to clean that up, that's actually not bad because, well, we come from radical feminized Western civilization where that's actually kind of okay.
Forest, as has happened with over 100 trees, often damaging them irreparably to the point that they have to be chopped down.
Shrine versus someone's home, shrine is worse for sure. I don't agree with you, actually. I think they're both equal. I think they're both equally bad. You are vandalizing something that's not yours. They're both equally bad. I'm sorry. You are going and you are ruining something that doesn't belong to you. You have no right to do that.
Why is it okay when you complain about vandalism, but not Alyssa? Though despite the fact that she obviously does not like all of the anti-foreigner sentiment going on in Japan, Chris accuses her of promoting it anyway, which caused a lot of people to suggest that she's some sort of bigot.
Bro. To quote my favorite character from the greatest movie of all time, Rush Hour. Chinese bamboo, very strong. If you got that reference, you're a good man.
With white people, they have
the good old days when racism used to be like based and cool. Well, we're kind of living in those days, I'm not gonna lie.
Have to, wherever they go, they have to do Tyler Oliveira style videos, I think.
And I love how Hassan reacts to Chris's video and immediately goes down the white people bad, evil white racists bad videos, like the pipeline immediately.
Complaining about foreigners in Japan as a foreigner is the most insane thing I can think of. Brother,
isn't that exactly what Chris Broad was doing though? That's exactly what you're doing. You're a foreigner complaining about foreigners. Oh my God.
You're the foreigner. Like, what are you talking about?
Hassan is reacting to that moment.
She lives there. Just like you, she's as foreign to Japan as you are foreign to America. Except the difference is she loves Japan and you hate America.
Where Chris says that Alyssa used B-roll footage of foreigners in Kabukicho and was suggesting that that footage of foreigners was malicious because it's put next to pictures of garbage bags, which has to be one of the most retarded points of evidence that he uses to say that Alyssa is anti-foreigner, because Kabukicho is a huge tourist spot. I mean, how the hell do you take B-roll in Kabukicho without catching tourists? That is genuinely difficult unless you're thinking, well, Chris Broad might react to my video and accuse me of being a bigot, so let me just make sure I don't catch a foreigner in this footage on accident when I talk about the problems of this area. Like I said, this guy is either an idiot or highly manipulative. Where are the critical thinking skills? Though, to be fair, Chris's main point here is that Kabukicho has gotten better, but he's still ignoring Alyssa's point of, hey, the government did some things during COVID, and now it's getting worse again. Which is an okay point to make, even if it's still better than it used to be, as it's going back downhill. Anyway, Chris continuously tries to relate her to hatred of foreigners at multiple points in his video.
And coupled with the fact there's rising anti-foreign sentiment in Japan, it makes me concerned.
Yeah, by the majority of the country.
And uncomfortable.
Right, that's what this is about.
Yep.
He's mad about the new Prime Minister of Japan.
We've reached the crash out stage, ladies and gentlemen. We got there. All this yapping and criticizing and yammer-jammering, and it's all because new Prime Minister bad, because she's female Trump. That's it, baby. We have reached Nirvana. We discovered the zenith point.
He's mad because she wants to put reforms on...
Now, I just wonder, why is anti-foreign sentiment bad? Like, how did this happen? You mean to tell me that Japan was, like, welcoming foreigners and all of a sudden they're not? Like, what changed? Like, what is it specifically that you think made, like, people in Japan start being anti-foreigner? Pay no attention to this guy named Afzal Muhammad who raped a 16-year-old Japanese girl. But, like, I personally wonder, like, what is it? Like, what is it about the foreigners that you think made them want to deport them? Like, why do you think anti-foreign sentiment went up in Japan, like, personally?
Tourism and foreign entry into the country. Now, why would Chris be unhappy about that? Well, I just so happen to notice that Chris's entire business relies on foreign travel. His YouTube channel is essentially a channel that promotes Japanese tourism. His bar only has tourists in it. He runs an eSIM card business, which is a tourist business.
Bro, Bro, he runs an eSIM business. An eSIM is like it's something you need for like to have to get cellular data in Japan. So he runs an eSIM business. Obviously, he wants people to come to Japan.
For those of you who don't know, eSIMs are how you get internet on
I don't even blame him. It's just a really good business move, I'm not going to lie. But, like, this is a super conflict of interest for him to make a video criticizing her for saying Japan is, you know, going bad in certain ways.
Phone in Japan. Last, Chris has been featured on the channel Tokyo Creative numerous times. Tokyo Creative is a tourism marketing agency, so I'm sure Chris is on that channel for a reason, and make no mistake, post-COVID lockdowns, tourism is a huge industry in Japan. Like, it's millions of people per year.
Yeah.
Since the last time I've been in Japan, this is my third time.
Hey, look, it's a terrorist. They had a terrorist on their podcast. Do you remember that they invited a terrorist to their podcast?
No.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot more fucking white people out here.
Oh, for sure.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't like it. All right?
Because you're allowed to be racist against white people. Racism against white people? That's pretty cool. Look at the face they're making. Holy shit. When he's like, white people bad and they do this? And then Chris Broad makes an entire video talking about how you can't be anti-foreigners that are literally vandalizing property. The face I make when I'm being racist but against white people.
I get to say that as a white guy living here. You don't get to say
I
that.
don't like it. Okay.
I feel that. Okay, I feel that when you show up.
2024, I think we talked about it last episode. It's the most amount of foreign
like
tourists
30%.
ever.
Yeah, it's a
Well, like,
massive
it wasn't
increase.
even close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to go down. And it's all in Tokyo. Like, everyone goes to Tokyo. It's not like America where you'll get it mixed in. Like New York, you'll get Chicago, you'll get whatever. You know, it's all...
No one goes to Chicago. That's cope.
All in Tokyo, pretty much.
I mean, also Osaka and Kyoto. But yeah, why do you think Chris opened up a bar in Tokyo right next to the Shibuya Crosswalk, which is one of the biggest tourist attractions in Japan? I was there on a random weekday in October and the place was full. I had to wait to get in, so I guess like good business move, it's working. But also understand that Chris has a financial interest in the tourism industry growing and making sure that Shibuya maintains a good reputation because tourists are worth a shitload of money. As for this Tokyo Creative Company, they do paid sponsorships that are targeted at tourists. Here's Chris and his fiance.
That is wild. By the way, let me just remind you how insane it is to this day that I am considered too controversial to go on a podcast like this. But Hassan Piker, a terrorist, is not. Someone that is pro-rape if the Jews get raped, and pro-pedophilia if the Houthis are raping children. He's pro all that shit, all right? He is an actual supporter of rapist, pedophile terrorists that caused the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. He's a dog abuser. That dude's not controversial, though. That dude's actually pretty based, actually. We'll never criticize that guy.
Whatever, doing a paid sponsorship for East Japan Railways on that channel.
So today we're going to take you around to some of our favorite spots and show you why we love it so much. So today's video is sponsored by the East Japan Railway Company. They have just opened up the Japan Rail Cafe, and you can pop in there and get some information about your trip.
Some of you...
Sea-Dog said that's not true. Any thoughts? I don't know what thoughts are. It's true. He could... I'm not leaking the ends, but Dog could literally look at the last DM he sent me on Twitter. It basically says that I'm too controversial. So anyway, like, I don't really care.
You might have noticed that the tourist stand-in for that ad was also a YouTuber. Hidden secret maybe, but a lot of these foreigners...
And to be fair, just to be clear, I don't have anything against this guy. I don't have anything against Sea-Dog. I like him. I do. I think that he's mega woke, but I actually don't care. Like, I don't dislike the guy at all.
Japan YouTube channels are being paid by the government or private companies to garner...
Also, to be clear... If I was him, all right, I'm just being honest. If I was Sea-Dog, all right, I would not invite me on his podcast. All right, just to be completely upfront. I am a controversial figure, even though I'm a wonderful person, a better person than most, some would even say. But I wouldn't invite me if I was him. He has a non-political, wholesome podcast that he invites terrorists on, apparently, because that's not controversial. But I personally, if I was in his shoes, I would not invite me, a right-wing commentator, onto his channel. I wouldn't if I was him. All right? I know that I am an incredibly controversial guy because I actually say things that people don't want to hear and that are true. And that is apparently a bad thing in many circles because they would rather make believe that there's infinite genders and play into the delusions of retards that are killing themselves at a high fucking rate. So, again, I want to make this really clear for just a second. A really, really clear point. If I was him, I wouldn't invite me. So I'm not criticizing him for not inviting me. I'm criticizing him more for inviting a terrorist.
Interest in tourism. Here's a different video where it looks like Chris was again sponsored by JR Lines that got millions of views. For those of you who don't know, Japan Railways is like a conglomerate that is the train company that you use in Japan. This is a huge business. Like, he was probably paid a lot if this was a sponsor. And I'm fairly certain it was a sponsor, as personally, I would never include a direct link like this to a huge business in the description of a video unless I was getting paid. A YouTuber would be stupid to devalue.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a sponsorship.
Their brand with free advertising like that. Here's another 6 million view video that looks like it was sponsored by Japan Railways, except it looks like the link was removed or he forgot it.
Today, Ryota and I have been invited by JR East, the company that owns the bullet trains, to try ground class for the first time ourselves, with rare access to film inside the cabin. If you are a foreign tourist, you can take advantage of the JR East Rail Pass, where for 5 days and 19,000 yen, you can go anywhere you want in all of Tohoku region. It's a fantastic offer.
When you travel around Tohoku using JR East Pass, do not forget to take this Welcome Suica card. It's like a cash card.
For more information on how to grab the JR East Pass, you can find the details in the description box below.
Again, this almost
yeah, that's a sponsorship.
Was a paid sponsor for Japan Railways. They also own the Welcome Suica card that was showed. I mean, it sucks that it was filmed right before the lockdown, so JR probably took a hit, but it is an evergreen video, so I'm sure they got their money back eventually. I would be shocked if Chris wasn't paid a considerable amount of money for this video. So let's talk shop for a second. If you're not brand safe, you don't get these types of sponsors.
True.
You guys have no idea of the
Yeah, I would never get that sponsor. Some people will only sponsor you if you bow down to the church of infinite genders. Not something I'm into.
Amounts of money that I have lost just by covering controversial topics.
For sure.
From what I know about brand deals, I am easily losing into the 6 figures per year because of the topics that I cover.
Right. And for the record, he's completely right. I know for a fact. I've made content on anime. I've made content on politics. I know for a fact he is completely correct. He is completely and utterly correct. The sacrifice that I took to actually decide to make my content, spitting straight facts, was of a massive metric. It absolutely was. 100% worth it.
These are small YouTuber sponsors, not a massive conglomerate like Japan Railways. This is huge money. You think creators make a lot of money on Google AdSense? The real money on social media is made with brand deals, especially if you can do niche audience content.
So for the record, I basically, I have very few brand deals at this point, as an example, just because, well, a lot of them are, in my opinion, cursed, and I don't really want to do them. And the other reason is because a lot of brands don't want to get involved in politics.
Content like Japanese tourism. However, if you want to make the big bucks, you have to be squeaky clean or brands will not sponsor you. Like, you can lose hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars by not being brand safe. So here's where I'm going to be less generous towards Chris. Personally, I don't think he merely forgot to talk about the teen runaways in the Kabuki-cho section, which was a significant part of Alyssa's video, and it was her big argument for why certain things are getting worse in Japan. I think he didn't talk about that topic on purpose, because talking about bad stuff happening to minors is very much not brand safe.
Oh,
and
shit.
I imagine that it's extra not brand safe for a guy who's trying to be buddy-buddy with a bunch of tourism companies, especially considering that Kabuki-cho is a big tourist area, and some of the topics in Alyssa's video might deter tourism. So if Chris talks about this stuff, he could potentially lose hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Wow. I didn't even think of that. But that's possible. That's plausible. You know, you don't want to bring up the fact that there are giant child prostitution rings in Japan if you're a tourism channel that's partnering with, like, official Japanese companies. Yikes.
From not getting future sponsorship offers. Or he can conveniently just keep his mouth shut on that part of Alyssa's video and go over points that are easier to win on. It doesn't matter if Chris had a sponsor on the video or not. If a brand sees you doing things that aren't brand safe, they just won't contact you for future deals. Or if you've been negotiating a contract, they might just ghost you, and they'll almost never tell you why. So understand that there are certain things that he will not talk about because it will cost him a shitload of money. And also understand that he's not exactly transparent about how him being in the tourism business affects his bias against Alyssa's video. And also, again, and furthermore, the lack of transparency in general is to the extent where if I'm right about these being sponsors, they might be an FTC violation in America.
Whoa!
Because in America, you're supposed to be financially compensated.
Whoa, that's big. Yo, what? Does he never actually say that it's a sponsor? Does he never claim that he's being sponsored by these companies?
A product. Last, Chris is not very transparent about the fact that his business structure heavily incentivizes him to only talk about how great Japan is.
And the claim that I show only the over-romanticized utopian version of Japan is simply ridiculous. Does this look romanticized? Is this a
Bro, if you talk about the aftermath of a tsunami, that doesn't mean you're criticizing Japan. Okay? Well, you've got to be fucking kidding me. His example of the fact that he doesn't romanticize Japan is that he shows the aftermath of a tsunami.
Utopia. Does that look romanticized?
But wait, in the video he said he does talk about bad stuff. Look, he talked about a natural disaster. You've got to be kidding me, Chris. That is not the same thing as saying, hey, the government is lying to you about the homelessness problem, and their decision to close down schools during COVID led to a bunch of domestic abuse and runaways. But that's not my only issue with Chris's line of argumentation on this topic, because one of the videos that he cites where he's talking about the negative parts of Japan is basically an advertisement for a luxury strawberry company, a business/fishing company, an advertisement for a chopstick company, and a small hotel.
So this is Ichigo World, literally strawberry world, and in this greenhouse alone there's over 12 tons of strawberries, and now I'm going to go and eat them all. These are the most premium strawberries that you can purchase here. They're literally called Migaki Ichigo, polished strawberries. And if you look at them, there we go. Look at that. The absolute best strawberries money can buy. 5,000 yen for a box.
Okay.
$50. But each and every one of these strawberries has been cultivated to absolute perfection.
Bro, okay, that's a brand deal. What's the problem?
Does this not look like an ad?
Yeah, of course it's an ad. Wait, does he never claim that he was sponsored by them? Dude, no!
Strawberries are so perfect. Here's how much they cost. This is the company. Make sure the box is in frame with the company logo so people can see it. These are all notes that a brand would give you if they're sponsoring you. And luxury strawberries are a big tourist item. There's also this link in the description, and it appears to be a small hotel or an inn that he advertises at the end. This is a place that he has visited before, and the owner thanks him for promoting her business.
クリスが来てくれてから、YouTube に来てから、そう、外国お客さんがいっぱい来てくれるようになって。
Now, I don't know Japanese law. However, like I said, in America, if you're being paid to promote someone's business or receiving compensation,
you gotta
it is
announce
illegal
that.
to not disclose
True.
that. But it may not be illegal in Japan. I know the Japanese government will pay YouTubers to make videos advertising certain spots or certain businesses that tourists can go to. He might have received money for that on this video, and he might not legally have to disclose that. However, assuming that I'm wrong about all this and he received no sponsorship money or government money for this video, he still vastly misrepresented what it was. He says, I talk about the negative issues that Japan is having. I'm not always positive. But when you watch the video, the content is completely positive, and he's basically
Just out of curiosity. Just out of curiosity. Is it legal in Japan to, as a YouTuber, be sponsored by a company to promote their product and not disclosed that you are being paid for the promo? Alright, I'm just curious, man. I'm just curious. No, it is not legal in Japan for a YouTuber to promote a company's product through a paid sponsorship without disclosing the paid nature of the promotion. Practice known as stealth marketing is explicitly prohibited under Japan's Act Against Unjustifiable Premiums and Misleading Representations. The law aims to protect consumers from deceptive advertising by ensuring transparency. Yikes. Fines up to $2,000 for minor violations, up to $20,000, and 2 years imprisonment for severe cases. Yikes. Always discuss disclosure, place labels prominently, use platform terms like the YouTube setting with the tag, the hashtag ad thing, consult a lawyer. Damn, alright. Again, I don't know if he's doing this, to be clear. I don't know if he's actually sponsored by these people, or maybe he's just being super nice promoting their shit for free. I don't know if these are sponsors. Just saying.
Advertising businesses the whole time. Not to say that these aren't good businesses. I probably would buy these strawberries. And the owner of that inn has...
I wouldn't. $50 a strawberry? I don't care how good that tastes. Nah, sir. No, sir. I'd rather take that $50 and put it in the stock market.
A really tragic yet compelling story. Her loss was very sad. However, that's not what he said the video was, because the implication when he says utopian and sits that next to what he's accusing Alyssa of is that he's talking about the real controversial issues that Japan is having, and he's not afraid to speak up about things, even if that might make him or Japan look bad. But that's not what he's doing here. He's talking about how great everything is or how good of a job people are doing.
True.
He's literally romanticizing. Listen to the
True.
intro.
I've come to take a look at the past, present and future of the region, to hear the incredible stories of the people whose destinies were forever...
Yeah, that's not criticizing Japan.
...shaped by the tsunami. From a destroyed farm that went on to cultivate Japan's most expensive and luxurious strawberries, to an inventor who redesigned one of the world's most wasteful products. We'll meet the fishermen who lost everything but went on to redefine their industry, and hear the inspiring story of Nuxanor, the owner of an inn who lost her home and her family, but refused to close her business. These are the extraordinary stories of what happened after the tsunami.
Does that clip not fit the definition?
That is literally romanticizing, bro.
Definition of romanticizing? Now, he shows a second video that I was able to find. I think he only showed 2. It's hard to tell because he didn't do the best job of citing the exact videos of where the footage he used came from. The second one didn't have all the product placement, but it's not really a risky topic. No sponsor is going to drop you over a video about Fukushima, and no one's going to say, wow, this guy's a real asshole for sharing those people's heartwarming stories. Also, I have yet to hear Chris talk about any problem that Japan is facing that would deter tourists. So again, even if none of this is sponsored content or paid for by a local tourism group, at the very least, these evergreen videos are still funneling people into his tourism business. He's not taking risky positions or brave stances or really...
I'll be real, those strawberries did look really good.
...doing anything that would harm Japan's reputation. So I think he was completely misrepresenting himself there. I mean, this video here was the most advertiser-friendly pro-Japan shit that I've ever seen. And mix that with the endorsement from the Japanese lady who said how effective Chris's video was at bringing in new business. It's like an advertisement to advertisers. It's not dystopian to talk about how heroic Japanese people are. This type of content is exactly what would make people believe that Japan is a utopian society.
He's so right.
But you know, I saw this live stream clip where Chris is talking to his YouTuber friend Connor, and there was something he said that caught my interest.
I'm sure people will react and dredge things up, and there'll be lots of horrible shit coming my way.
Did you see the chat? Bro,
my interest.
I'm sure people will react and dredge.
Media literacy is important to fight for and to cultivate this kind of poverty porn made to cater to far-right, fascist, racist reactionaries is a whole subgenre of the far-right grifter sphere. You did the right thing, Chris. I'm proud of you. Who's cherry-picking comments from other people's audiences again?
Things up and there'll be lots of horrible shit coming my way, but that's the price I pay for doing it, and that's I accept that.
What exactly are you afraid of
brave.
people digging up? Is this it? Is it the fact that a lot of your videos are not done out of journalistic integrity but are just paid advertisements? I mean, genuinely, is this an FTC violation? He's clearly advertising tourism products and says in the video that you can only get a JR pass if you're a tourist. And the Welcome Suica debit card is specifically for tourists because it's only valid for a month. You primarily use these cards to ride the train without having to buy a ticket. But Japanese people or foreign residents get the green Suica card or use the phone app. They don't use the red card. That's for tourists. Also, make sure that you show your friend buying food with his card so that tourists know that it's not just for the train. And further note that this is probably not his personal card because it's a red tourist card.
True.
It was probably loaded with money and given to him by Japan Railways for the ad. This guy is a resident, so if he was spending his own money, then why wouldn't he just use a green Suica card? This moment looks like compensation for doing an ad. Why would you spend your own money to film an advertisement for someone else's product? I'm saying this because the implication is that Chris and his friend paid for everything themselves.
This is it. This is the pinnacle of railway travel. It doesn't come cheap though. It is about $750 to ride in this seat from Tokyo to Hakodate in Hokkaido.
As amazing as Grand Class was, I'm not sure
Dude, I'd love to go on one of these speed trains, to be fair. But that is not the point! Bro, that's an ad, man!
By spending my pocket money on it again anytime soon.
This makes no sense.
Spending my pocket money again? You really spent your pocket money on that trip? Bro, they gave you a prepaid card and you spent your pocket money?
So why would you burn $700 on a ticket plus the $100 or so ticket for the other Shinkansen ride that was shown in the video? Because this is an ad, so you have to start by showing how great the economy option is for the people who can't afford first class.
Oh my god! Oh my, he tested out all the seats! Bro, this is such an ad. Oh no.
So in awe of the amount of seat pitch you get on the standard seats. These seats here.
The standard seats are absolutely incredible. Can you please criticize one thing? Can you criticize one thing, please?
Oh, what, 98 centimetres of pitch? I can barely reach the seat in front of me if I outstretch my arm, and I've got a normal human-sized arm.
So it's those tickets plus the $100 to $200 economy train ride home. Why would you burn all this money and possibly pay for your friend's ticket for being in the video when you could easily just have Japan Railways pay for this stuff? That would be financially stupid considering they already pay creators for advertisements. A year later, Chris took a sponsorship from them.
Yeesh.
And this isn't like a critical product review that the company wouldn't like, so of course they would pay for a video like this. All Chris does the whole time is glaze Japan Railways. I think the only negative thing he said was that it was too expensive for first class, but he's also like, even though it's too expensive, you could buy the ticket for a special occasion.
Would you ride this ground class again though, Ryotaro? Would you ever do it?
Oh yeah, I would. Lovely.
Of course you would. What situation would you consider using ground class yourself?
My second honeymoon.
Your second honeymoon?
No way this is not a paid sponsorship. Now, Chris isn't in America, but you know, the video is in English, so part of the target audience for this ad clearly is Americans. I don't know if the FTC would have any legal jurisdiction over this, but they do have this nice set of social media guidelines that can be found here.
Oh my god,
Even
I
if
did not expect this to be the direction that we would go here.
Isn't legally at fault here. If this was a paid ad by Japan Railways, I certainly think he is morally at fault. The guidelines say that you have to make it obvious that you're being compensated, but if I look at this as an average viewer, I would not be able to tell that this is an ad. I only recognize this as a paid sponsorship because I'm a YouTuber. I've done brand deals before, and I know how sponsorships work. So Chris, if you're being financially compensated for this video in any way, like being given free tickets or a discount or free food or being paid a flat rate, and not disclosing that to your audience, then you're a real piece of shit. Like, that is super deceptive if that's true.
Bro, he's just kind of not wrong here. Like, he's actually just, like, completely correct. I'm pretty sure it violates YouTube's guidelines also if you don't disclose that it's an ad. Holy shit.
Certainly, if I wasn't being financially compensated for something that looks this much like a paid sponsor, I would make it very clear to my audience that I wasn't getting money. But this is like sort of an open secret amongst Japan YouTubers. A lot of these foreigner and Japan channels are being paid to advertise tourist attractions. And
yeah, I mean, to be fair, really smart of Japan, but also really slimy of the YouTuber.
Super open about videos being
Dude, and you dare make this video criticizing this girl? This girl for being like, wow, there's a lot of vandalism and child prostitutes out there. This dude decides to show up. This dude shows up. How dare you refer to Japan as being in decline? It's actually better than ever. I just opened a new bar. Check out these new strawberries. $50 a strawberry.
Sponsored. Okay, full disclosure, this is Editor Sean doing this at the last minute. Normally I would weave this in smoothly so you wouldn't know it's last minute, but I'm tired. It's been over 2 weeks, and I just want to get this video out. So if there are any continuity errors past this point because I don't want to re-edit everything, that's why. Some of this video I had to record while I was sick, so I'm sure you heard that because I didn't have time to re-record the audio. Anyway, this whole Tokyo creative thing is a huge rabbit hole, and a lot of creators that you might recognize are openly a part of it, which is fine. Most creators who have a decent-sized following have brand representation. Chris has since moved on from Tokyo Creative, but now he has his own company that he runs called Sekai Studios, where you can see on the website that their business interest is in promoting tourism. This is something that you can just Google, which again is fine. That's all well and good. What's not fine, though, is the disclosure to the viewer. As I said earlier, I've watched Chris's channel for close to a decade, I believe, and I didn't know any of this stuff until the past 2 weeks. I say that because these old videos very much look like advertisements for Japan Railways. I didn't know that when I first saw them, and if they are, my big issue is the extent that Chris went to make you believe that it wasn't an ad. Which begs the question, what other videos are ads?
True.
For example,
He's right.
this video where he goes to a racetrack with Connor that is like $30,000 a person. This video is definitely an ad for that racetrack as well as Epidemic Sound. The good part, though, is that in this case, I think he makes it pretty clear that he was being sponsored by Epidemic Sound, and more importantly, he makes it clear that they were being given track time for free.
The Garigara Club is one of the most exclusive members-only driving circuits on the planet. The team here kindly gave us access to the track. And look, we're a bit out of our depth here because a full permanent membership can cost up to 49 million yen.
Again, he said that he was given access. That implies that he got it for free in order to promote it. I think that that's probably fine.
So a very big thank you to the folks here for letting us use their track.
Do you see how that was different from the Japan Railways video? In this case, when he openly states that there is no way he could afford this, he's making it clear that he didn't pay. So when he does an ad for the racetrack later in the video, the free use of the club was his reimbursement. But the problem is that these channels don't always make it that clear. Alright, that's the end of the last minute edit. Either way, it is still very clear to me that Chris has a massive financial incentive for calling Alyssa a liar because of what she talks about, and he has a massive incentive for avoiding important and difficult issues that Japan faces, especially the ones that might negatively affect tourism, like crime and homelessness.
The moral grandstanding here is just ridiculous, you know, considering the pro-tourism brand that he owns. And it's also ridiculous
biased.
because he talks in the video about how he just had to speak out.
I had to say something. I chose to bring attention to it publicly. I hate myself sometimes that I can't keep my mouth shut on certain things. But when you feel something is profoundly wrong in here, you have to talk about it.
He just had to speak out.
Bro, what is this libtard shit, man? What is this? I just had no choice but to be righteous and fight for the defense of the immigrants that are fucking up our country. I mean, that are loved by the majority of our nation. I can't believe that people decided to elect a right-wing prime minister because everyone loves the immigrants, especially the vandalism. We love that here in Japan.
Because he's such a good person who will make false defamatory edits to make his opponents look bad. So when Chris cries about this shit, I have a hard time believing that it's not actually because he's afraid of losing money from lower amounts of tourism. I don't think he really cares that much about misinformation. He spreads tons of misinformation in his videos due to lazy fact-checking, if I'm being generous. Or he's intentionally doing it to keep his sponsors and protect his tourism business.
It is increasingly hard to compete when you're producing videos to a higher standard, when you have to fact-check everything. What I'm saying is social media platforms don't care. They don't reward accuracy. They don't reward nuance or objective reason. They reward clicks, they reward attention, they reward sensationalism. Journalistic integrity really doesn't count for much online, unfortunately, to an almost dystopian degree.
Bro, you do...
True. You do the same thing. I do the same thing. Pearl does the same thing. You do the same thing.
Like the worst kind of journalism. You obscure your resources to make it harder for people to fact
check. Yeah, what the fuck is this blurring out shit? Like, you call yourself a journalist and you're gonna blur out the people you're talking about?
Check you. And you actually go out of your way to tell people to not...
I have journalistic integrity. I take paid promotions without actually, you know, disclosing that they're paying me to promote their shit. I have so much journalistic I mean, again, allegedly. But, dude!
Watch the source material. You essentially defamed Alyssa with that homelessness edit and tried to cover it up after millions of people saw it, instead of doing a retraction or making some sort of effort to let people know that she wasn't making fun of homeless people. Not just that, but you remove important context at multiple points in the video, and then you tell your audience that Alyssa believes the exact opposite of what she actually believes. You're really no better than Hassan Piker. This is the exact type of journalism that he does, and I'm not shocked at all.
Dude, I love that, man. You know, Tucker Carlson goes to Russia and just glazes Russia and Russian shopping carts. Hassan Piker goes to China and just glazes China. It's like, bro, dude. Insane.
Oh, that Chris is friends with Connor and Ludwig.
One difference between Tucker Carlson and Hassan Piker, Tucker Carlson never raped a 15-year-old in a brothel in Germany. And allegedly Hassan did. So, that's one little difference between them. All right. Now he has dogs that he doesn't electrocute. Hassan has dogs that he does electrocute. All right. So, you know, again, I'm not a huge fan of either character. I think both of them are propagandists. But one of them might also be a pedophile.
This is the exact type of journalism that he does. And I'm not shocked at all that Chris is friends with Connor and Ludwig, who are both friends with Hassan. Remember when Hassan was on Trash Taste right after Ethan Klein's content nuke? Which was after Hassan had been promoting terrorism for over a year?
True.
These guys sat there and tried to run positive PR for him for 2 hours. Now, I don't know if Chris...
Dude, I'll be real here. I'm not a big fan of canceling people by osmosis. Like, if you're around someone controversial, I hate that people get canceled for stuff like that. This backlash was so unbelievably justified, it's crazy. They literally brought on a terrorist to run PR for the guy for 2 hours. Just because he's a big name in the streamer space and he's woke and awesome and stuff. Dude, so based that they got blasted for it. I'll be real. I didn't want any harassment to be sent their way, and I specifically disavowed it, and I disavow it to this day. Don't send harassment. The backlash was so warranted, it's crazy.
Hassan are friends, but since Hassan has been to Japan multiple times and hangs around people in Chris's social circle,
I love visiting Tokyo.
I wouldn't be shocked if they've had a conversation.
Of course you love visiting Tokyo. They have underage prostitutes. That's literally your favorite thing.
Before. Maybe
allegedly.
It was about journalist integrity or lack thereof.
This dude seems like a douche, or is it just me? No, Chris is the man. No, Chris is the fucking man. I like Chris a lot.
Around this...
Yep. This is like Jeffrey Epstein being a fan. Bro. Yeah, I was endorsed by Jeffrey Epstein back in the day.
Event, Chris has stated that there are all these issues that he has, but he's kept quiet. He's been the bigger man and held his tongue. But I find it really convenient that the one time he does speak up just so happens to be on an issue that affects his income, What a coincidence. What a coincidence that Mr. Journalistic Integrity Over Money was just bitching about a video not doing well at the same time that he attacked Alyssa.
One thing about the YouTube and creating videos and stuff is that it does feel like right now there is a massive reward for just making videos that just lie or play on people's kind of political leanings.
Well, it's scary. I mean, even look at my video. It's got an insane number of views in a very short space of time.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate when a
Yeah, true. You're a sensationalist, it seems.
Creator lies and gets an insane number of views in a short period of time.
I'm sure a lot of people are clicking on it, waiting to be angry about something, and it's probably not what they expect.
And it's sad because you put so much effort into the recent Mikey Weekend. It isn't going to do as well. It's not as sensational.
I mean, it's each one racing around. I mean,
it's a great video.
The video that upset me the most this year was the volcano documentary. We spent 3 or 4 months working on it.
Documentaries are always a tough video.
It was a weird one. I mean, I get most people don't really care about volcanoes in everyday life, and I'm glad it's still got 700,000 views. But it influences the choices we make.
Boo-hoo, welcome to YouTube.
Is dude literally, like, I mean, listen, yeah, people would rather click on some videos over other videos. Like, what is this?
The last thing viewers want to hear is a creator crying about how their video didn't do well. Has anyone ever
Dude,
heard—
I sometimes cry when my videos don't do well. I don't literally cry, but I'm like, I am frustrated when my videos don't do well, so I totally get it. I absolutely get the concept, but like, this whole, people just want to watch sensationalism and lies. Now, unlike the good people like me, I'm actually based as fuck. I've never actually been morally compromised ever in my entire life. Like, I don't do that, man, at all. I blame the deep state for silencing me. Sometimes they do. Sometimes I'm being cringe. But, you know.
Heard me complain about a 10 out of 10? Right. It's because the audience doesn't care. If they cared, they would have watched the video. Like, I have a really hard time sympathizing here when you call my friend's content lazy slop content, which is yet again another Hassan strategy, demeaning all the work that goes into your opponent's videos. I swear I've watched that stochastic—
Yeah, you see, I do make lazy slop content. Unlike other people. Some of them actually work on their videos. Unlike me, who just gets canceled for my opinions. We are totally different, alright? I am the slop tuber. How dare you call anyone else cringe?
Terrorist animal abuser let his fucking chair react to other people's work that took over—
Yeah, but no one's a bigger slop content creator than Hassan Piker. That dude is the slop lord. I don't know anyone that slops around more than that dude. That dude will put on terrorist propaganda and leave so that he could just play it for his audience. He can get his chat of retards, terrorists, and pedophiles to love the content that he plays for them.
Over a week or more
That's
to
true.
make.
That's true.
And he has the audacity to call other people's content slop content. What work do you do, Hassan? Now, I don't have a problem with live streamers reacting to content as long as there's actual commentary on the video.
Like me, I give all sorts of commentary. Like, for example, I'm not homophobic. I just hate gay people. See? Bam! Commentary. Works every time.
But to pretend that watching someone else's video is more work than it took to create it is like criminal levels of dishonesty. Anyway, let's take a look at this for a second because we haven't really looked at Chris's social media post. First, he starts out by saying, "Look for bad things and you'll find them. Look for good things and you'll find them." But unfortunately, positivity doesn't drive clicks.
This is such like a bullshit thing. I'll have you know that I have a lot of positivity on my channel. All right, I do positivity all the time. Like for example. All right, let me show you an example of positive content. In fact, I would go as far as to argue that my videos are all positive. Well, not all, but some of them are. Like for example, let me find one. Holy shit, they're going to jail. That's positive because retards are going to jail. Hassan Piker arrested. That's positive because Hassan Piker got arrested. We got holy shit, they will never recover, which is great and positive because they don't deserve to recover. Fuck them. We got Hassan Piker getting deported. W, positive content. Yeah, this is positive. Be positive.
Chris, most of Alyssa's views come from positive content, so I have to say that this no-nuance take is very negative, sensationalist, and not very reflective of reality. Next he says, if you enjoy Oriental Pearl— oh wow, he's saying her name now that it's not on his main social media platform and he's less likely to bleed audience members. If you enjoy Oriental Pearl, allow me to recommend you a few of her videos. White Girl Speaks Japanese. Japanese people shock, surprise, amazement. There's also White Girl Speaks—
What's wrong with that?
Speaks Japanese. You won't believe what the locals did next.
What's wrong with that?
Wow, he is really harping on her race here. Last I checked, Alyssa never mentions her race in her titles. Why are you so insistent on bringing that up? You're saying it like a slur.
I mean, to be fair, it's because this is like the classic leftoid propaganda, right? White person comes to ruin everything and be racist against immigrants and stuff.
And, my personal favorite, Japanese react to white girls speaking Japanese. Sugoi, incredible. Man, he is so jealous. Is he also friends with Miskiff?
This is pathetic. What did she do? Throw plushies at him? Like what are we doing?
Guys, don't watch Alyssa. Her content is stupid. I'm the real content creator. Watch me. The real stupid.
Is this like is she like his competition? Is she pushing a message that he doesn't agree with? Like, what are we doing? This white woman is getting views and she's dumb. Got him.
Her content is stupid. I'm the real content creator. Watch me.
What?
The real stupid thing here is that he's acting like giant displays of skill hasn't been a huge market since like the beginning of time. They literally have a show for it called America's Got Talent that has tons of viral clips. Though the bigger reason that it is insulting for him to call Alyssa's content slop content that takes no effort is because he clearly doesn't understand why a video like this does well. Like, why does this video have 47 million views on it? Well, it's because she's speaking 3 different languages in it fluently.
Yeah.
Not only that, but she picked a topic that addresses a common anxiety that people have and debunks their preconceived notions by saying that if people are speaking a foreign language around you, they probably aren't saying anything bad.
In these 10 years of living in China and Japan, I've sometimes caught people talking about me, but I've never caught anyone saying anything bad. That is the truth. Not saying that it doesn't happen, but a lot of it is definitely in our heads.
To make a 15-minute video essentially suggesting that this girl is a racist or hates foreigners is ridiculous. How about this video? Why did it do well? Maybe it's because she speaks 4 different languages in it.
Damn.
Can you do that, Chris? This is not slop content. The hard work is the decade of studying for
Completely
ridiculous
true.
hours.
See, I would agree. You see, my content is slap content, let's be real. But it's also years of training and honing my racism to a point of it being funny and positive. That's right. It's not easy. I think things through. My philosophy is truly outmatched and truly something of definitely subscribe. You will not get Nuxanor content anywhere else. Countless Bible quotes, like for example, don't spread slander among your people, Chris Broad. That's right. I do informative research slop. No, my videos are dog shit. I know it, but I like it anyway. All right, I like my videos, even though they're dog shit. All right, I approve this message.
Be able to speak Chinese, Japanese, and Korean, and English would be the 4th language. But saying that this is easy.
I also speak 4 languages, and I use one of them. Okay, so my enlightened slap content
would be like watching America's Got Talent and going, well, that's not that hard. They just did a 60-second performance, ignoring the years of practice that it took to be able to do that 60 seconds. He speaks Japanese, so he should know that it's a lot of work to get to Alyssa's level of Chinese and Japanese.
True.
I mean, unless his fluency level isn't that high, that is possible. But she took graduate courses in college with classes that were completely in these languages.
Wow.
Her fluency level is very high. On top of that,
see, well, I speak fluent retard. I'm able to translate any speech if it's said by a retard instantly with 94% accuracy, with a 6% margin of error. It's actually one of these skills that I've had. Again, it took me about 10 years to hone this skill.
Just from talking to Japanese people in Japan and through speaking lessons, I do think that Japanese people get a lot of exposure to foreigners because of tourism. However, I don't think very many Westerners in Japan speak Japanese at more than a very basic level.
According to a survey to foreign workers, about 70% can't speak Japanese well. Among them, 30% hardly speak it, and about 50% only manage a basic conversation. Another survey to foreign residents says just about 20% think that they're able to speak enough, but he finds it totally unsurprising, as many foreigners only stick to other foreigners.
So it's
so to translate what that guy just said, lots of people speak lots of languages, especially me, who speaks all of the languages, unlike them, who speak none of the languages. Why can't the immigrants just learn English? That's what he said. I translated for you. See, it's simple. It's easy, actually. It's easy. If you want healthcare, speak the language or leave. That's what he said, actually. I got it. Don't worry, guys. That's what he said.
Genuinely impressive for someone to start the conversation in Japanese and then switch to Chinese. I know people have a skewed idea of how much work it is to learn a foreign language because...
Do you know that one of the most complicated things for me when I started streaming... This is going to sound retarded. So, my first language, actually, was not English. English is my second language, actually. My first language was Yiddish. I know, that's pretty crazy. So, like, I'll be real. When I started making YouTube videos, it took me a while to get out of just, like, throwing in random Yiddish words. because, you know, my parents spoke Yiddish because their parents were Holocaust survivors, and they, you know, that was their, you know, main language. So realistically, that's where actually my first language was retard. My second language was Yiddish. But that's where we're at.
Of all these ass.
So like I had to tone down the retard so I don't just whip out the oy veys every 2 seconds. You know what I'm saying?
Had fake polyglots who pretend to speak 15 languages at like 20 years old and tell you that you can be fluent in Japanese in a year with 30 minutes of study per day, which is an incredibly unrealistic expectation. Nobody gets fluent in Japanese in 1 year. Being able to say your name and your age and what hobbies you have in a video that you can edit does not mean that you are fluent in a language. So where's the video on this, Chris? Why don't you speak out against that? Anyway, the amount of effort that it takes to be able to do what Alyssa does is at least 4 hours of language practice per day for 5 to 10 years. Alyssa spends a crazy amount of time studying languages. It's at least 4 hours per day. She's a big fan of language schools, and some of those language schools have you doing like 6 hours a day between class time and homework. Even though it's this much work, Chris is still like, this content is so easy to make, I could film it in an afternoon. I mean, the filming...
Yeah, it's such a cringe philosophy. It's like, dude, you'll watch someone that's like an expert in their field. Like, I'll give you an example, right? This is a classic example, all right? So, like, legal mindset, he's a lawyer, he covers, like, YouTube drama, and he'll, like, break it apart legally and stuff. And now you can be like, well, this is just slop content. All he did was talk about YouTube drama for 15 minutes. But, you know, that comes after years of law school and studying to actually develop the amount of information required to make the content. You know, it's like saying, being an Olympic swimmer is actually not that difficult. All you need to do is swim for like a minute. You know, like, what is that?
Yeah, of course you can. You have a full team. Alyssa does this by herself.
It is increasingly hard to compete when you're producing videos to a higher standard.
This is like such a, like, cope, okay? All right? People are going to click on videos that they want to see, okay? If they want to see her videos and not yours, they will, okay? And you don't need to be like this whole, well, my editing is better and my research is better and I'm better. If you're better, people will notice, all right? People will notice and people will find it, all right? Stop, man, all right? Stop.
When you have to fact check everything, the creator...
Bro, stop.
The creator of this video claimed it took 50 hours to produce this video. A claim I find to be, quite frankly, baffling. I'm not sure where the 50 hours went. And you might think, well, he does sound kind of jealous now. Maybe she's right. Maybe he's just not getting the views. And I say far from it. I could go out and make this content in one afternoon in Tokyo. What I'm saying is social media platforms don't care. They don't reward accuracy.
Bro, do it. What's stopping you? You can do it in a day. Do it, bro. Do it. Go out there, except be honest. Unlike her, who clearly misrepresented it and didn't mention how actually vandalism is cultural enrichment. You should do it. Go out there, use the same title and thumbnail, and talk about how actually vandalism is good.
They don't reward nuance or
fighting against systemic racism or something.
Objective reason. They reward clicks, they reward attention, they reward sensationalism. Journalistic integrity really doesn't count.
And the craziest part is, like, you have to realize Chris's channel is like 5 times her size. Like, what?
Much online, unfortunately.
I mean, at least for your response video, your journalistic integrity and fact-checking ability is dog shit. I think this aspect about social media actually works in your favor. So maybe you could do the filming for this and have other people finish the video for you in 24 hours. However, you don't have the language skills to do what Alyssa does in most of her popular content. Like, I can't understate how petty Chris is in this video and around this whole event. And it's that mixed in with how he straight up sensationalizes, for lack of a better word. He sensationalizes the level of income that Alyssa made from the video that he didn't like, as if it were generational wealth.
The most unsettling thing is it's never been easier to monetize sensationalist
Oh my god,
slop
dude.
content.
You're making millions a year off your videos plus sponsors. You've got to stop. She's making money off it. That's why she made one video criticizing Japan. One video saying that Japan is cooked. Oh, come on, dude.
And if you do it, you'll be richly rewarded for it. Case in point, this video, the creator pointed out, made $1,500, which...
That's it? Are you serious? Are you seriously including this as a segment in your video because she made 1.5K? Like, are you out of your mind? Like, dude, this is like actually pathetic. All right, let me just check what like one of my recent videos made just randomly. All right, let me tell you what I get like on 100,000 views. Yeah, I get like $1,000 on 100,000 views. Okay, like according to this based on this one video that I just looked at randomly. Like, dude, what are we doing? You've got to be kidding me, dude. Like, again, 1,500 is not bad, but like, really? She's gonna destroy her whole credibility for $1,500?
Is a seriously impressive amount of money for going around filming some bin bags and some spray paint in a video that would have taken a matter of hours to record.
I mean, that's not that much money for a YouTuber, Chris. How much were you paid to do those tourism propaganda videos for Tokyo Creative? How much did you get paid to advertise Japan Railways? I'm sure it was multiple times what Alyssa made on this video.
Case in point, this video, the creator pointed out, made $1,500.
That's it?
Right.
Yeah, exactly my reaction. Like, seriously, are you kidding me? He made $1,500. I'm like you. I'm poor, just like all of you watching. $1,500. Unbelievable.
That's not that much money to a YouTuber. Later in the video, he's like, wow, guys, if people learn they can make $1,500 by filming a video in Japan, then we're just going to get endless nuisance streamers like
Oh my god, it costs more to buy tickets to Japan! No, dude, you've got to be kidding me.
Johnny Somali. Chris, not only is it messed up to say that Alyssa is the same as Johnny Somali because she doesn't like graffiti, but $1,500 doesn't even cover the plane ticket. That amount is not making anyone think pre-recorded nuisance content in Japan is some get-rich-quick scheme. To compare her to Logan Paul or Johnny Somali is ridiculous, especially considering that if you actually watch the source material, you can see that people want her around. Also, Chris removed context from this moment where she shows her income. The only reason that he has that monetary stat from Alyssa is because she showed it to point out that she's actually taking a loss on this video.
Bro!
Most of her money comes from sponsors, not from YouTube ad revenue, and the types of sponsors that she can get won't pay for a video like this.
Here's an actual snapshot of the revenue from the video, which is far below my average because most content is sponsored. And I did this one as a passion project because I saw a lot of changes in my neighborhood. It's not made to make money. There's no sponsor that's going to sponsor that kind of content.
Real convenient for Mr. Advertiser Friendly to remove the context of most of Alyssa's money coming from sponsors, not AdSense. He removes the context that it's actually better for her wallet to make positive content like he does. She's taking a loss on this content, and he must know that. I know he knows about brand rules. I know he knows how much money you can make from brand deals, especially the channels who do not cover controversial content. Plus, it's really rich for him to bitch about money when he's almost certainly far richer than she is. So it really pisses me off to hear him say that she's lying about Japan for money when she...
Let me just look this up. Chris Broad Social Blade. Just curious. Well, that didn't work. Where's view stats? Does that site work again? Because at some point it wasn't working. I need an account. Signing in. Give me a second. All right. So view stats. Let's see. Chris Broad. Come on! All right. Chris Abroad. That's not it. What's the name of his YouTube channel? Abroad in Japan. Dude, this site sucks. All right. Abroad in Japan. That's his main channel. He has another one also. So on his main YouTube channel, he has received... Dude, I don't know what's wrong with this website. This website's terrible. Bro, what is going on? All right, here we go. We're getting there. All right, so apparently he got 5.7 million views in the last month. All right, so that means he got an estimated, let's say, 9,000. That's not right. That's impossible. What? Bro, this is at least 30K. What? I'll be real, I'm surprised he has less views than me in the last month. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit surprised. He only uploaded one video in the last month. Yeah, no, so the dude's making, you know, probably 30, 40K a month or something. I don't know. Like, it's crazy, and that's on one channel. Like, how dare you, man?
He has to sacrifice brand deals to make a video like this, and he knows that when it comes to Japan because of tourism, there is way more money in the type of content that he makes. I mean, how much is he going to take her out of context? How much is he going to lie about her beliefs? When if you actually watch her content, you can see she believes the opposite. Like I said, I get why Alyssa was mad, and I get why she asked him to remove that Facebook comment. Again, I don't think she should have done that, but you can start to see why she was so upset when you see how much she is misrepresented by Chris. Now, it's fine to remove context. We all have to do that as creators for brevity, but to remove context and then tell people that she believes the exact opposite of what she said is what a liar would do. This was not a money-making scheme from Alyssa. This is not even her typical content. The reason that she made this video is because she saw certain problems in her local community getting worse. So as a resident who is married to a Japanese citizen, she felt compelled to speak up about it. Again, the comparison to Logan Paul and Johnny Somali or other nuisance streamers who don't live in Japan and don't have to deal with the consequences of them degrading a high-trust society for money
is ridiculous. Also, it's one main channel video that she's made this past year about crime, yet Chris is out here basically saying, this racist white girl hates foreigners
Yeah, that's
and
what
wants
it looked
you to
like.
believe that Japan is dying. This is a money-making scheme where she's lying to you to fatten her bank account. It's one YouTube video, Chris. It's just one video. Then the rest of the content is stuff like, born in Japan but too tall for everything. Oh, but what about the Instagram videos? They didn't make any money. They were too short to make money. Nobody makes money on
you don't make
shorts
money
unless
on
they're over a
Instagram.
minute long.
Yeah, you don't make money on any of that.
And get like 5 to 10 million views. Alyssa gave me her total revenue for Instagram for the month the video was released. Chris shows this ominous screenshot of her getting 1.7 million views on Instagram from the Japan is over content. $13. That's how much she made on that month. Oh, but what about TikTok? I see 400,000 views, $60 for the entire month. She didn't make any money on this content. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. So again, it's one video. Now, I can understand if you have an issue with how a creator goes about a topic they talk about. That's fine, that's YouTube. But to complain about someone making $1,000 when you easily made over $10,000 on this video that you said you knew was going to do well and was probably only a few days of work is ridiculous.
True.
Oh, and you know, to end this all off, this grand money-making scheme from Alyssa to exploit Japan and exploit homeless people. Speaking of $10,000, remember this video here where she got 3 million views and then donated all the profits to charity? Remember that? What a money-making scheme. What's also messed up is that Chris is acting like all of Alyssa's videos are either no work or require no money to make, which is untrue. Outside of constant language study,
Yeah, this is a wild misrepresentation. Oh my god.
and the cost of that because language schools aren't free. So outside of that, she often travels for her content, and that costs money and time. She films all over Japan, not just in Tokyo. Even if the videos cost no money, like my videos are mostly free to make, but the cost is my time and research and time in organizing the ideas in an order that I think will be interesting to the
He's
audience.
right. He's so right. While my content looks on the surface level like slop, I actually do a lot of research and thinking about what my actual stances are before I decide to slop it all out. Actually, I am now coping. I actually, I'll be real. This is the I have the get rich quick scheme content. That's for sure. That's me. That's me, ladies and gentlemen. Lord Slopinor, they call me. That's where we're at.
Time, and so does editing. And unlike Chris said, you can't just make 50 of the same video. People will get bored, so a lot of time in a YouTuber's day is simply spent trying to decide what to talk about. Deciding what to talk about, especially after people have gotten bored of a meta.
I see people thinking that I'm being hard on myself. No, you're wrong. I am the Leonardo da Vinci of slop. All right? It may be slop, but I am the Leonardo of slop. All right? I want to make this clear.
Is the most difficult part of this job. Anyway, so the aftermath of Chris's crash out is that the Japanese people don't really agree with him. They were actually more on Alyssa's side. However, that didn't stop droves of creators who were Chris's fans and don't know anything about Japan from immediately taking his side and accusing Alyssa of some horrendous things, while largely just reciting points that Chris made in his video.
Yeah.
They also didn't really show any indication that they did their own research or fact-checking to verify if what Chris said was correct.
She doesn't really seem to address this heavily in her video. That homeless population has, objectively speaking...
Oh my god, you have a whole industry of people that basically ran on it. They saw her getting blasted by a bigger YouTuber in good respect, and they just jumped on the hate train every single time.
Been going down over the past few years. So focusing on this like it's a big problem that's degrading Japanese society...
Degrading, not degrading. Also, why do you have a gun literally pointed at you on your desk, bro?
It's weird as a choice.
I mean, that looks a lot like a zoomed-in graph about homelessness that Chris used, where the article admitted that it was probably not accurate. Did this guy even read the article?
My guess is that guy screenshotted the graph that Chris used in his video to put in his video to make himself look smart.
Looks like he just took a screenshot and put it in his video without any fact-checking.
If she does background research, she's not crediting it, which, frankly, this is my opinion, but I think that's malpractice.
Bro, you didn't credit this chart in your description. What are we talking about?
Wouldn't it be a shame if you talked about research that viewers would not be able to look up because you didn't show any reference material for it on screen or put a link in the description? Isn't that malpractice? As for the videos of Alyssa's that he's talking about, I'm guessing he's referencing the What is Happening to Japan video and this one about homeless people. Neither of these videos require source citations. They are largely just telling...
True, it's literally just, you know, filming what's actually happening. She needs a source citation for filming homeless people on the street?
Personal stories, so the source is the story. Outside of that, she talks about the Toyoko kids, but that's a popular news story in Japan, and things that are common knowledge don't require source citations. The video that does require source citations is her follow-up video on Chris Broad, and she does show reference material. And actually, let me just go on a slight tangent about the homelessness stuff, because how much Alyssa was lied about really pisses me off. There's this narrative that she's stuffing her camera in the faces of homeless people.
I also find it quite distasteful how she takes her camera and shoves it in the face of homeless people in the street who...
I find it distasteful based on my moral paradigm. While I lie and slander this woman for no reason, I would like to also point out that she is the one that's actually immoral, because she is profiting off of the homeless.
We really don't want that attention on them. They're just minding their own business.
And I worry in an era of
You mean like she was before you made your video on her where you took her out of context?
nuisance content creators coming to Japan doing things that are unspeakably bad. They might see this sort of content and go, wow, you get $1,500 for that. Maybe start to wave cameras around in the faces of homeless people, potentially leading to even more nuisance content.
She was the one getting harassed in that video.
If you pay attention, you can see that yes, she is filming homeless people, but nobody's face is on camera. How else are you supposed to show the problem without filming it? She's not pestering.
I mean, to be fair, they would rather she just not show the problem and make believe that Japan is an infinite utopia with no issues whatsoever that need to be fixed. And therefore, they elected a fascist for no reason other than racism.
People like Johnny Somali. In this video here, the one that Chris used to defame her, she's invited over by the homeless guy. And in this last video, the one that the Dungeons & Dragons guy cites, she's working with a homelessness outreach program, she's invited to film, and she shares some quite humanizing stories about the homeless population in Japan. She's also trying to get donations to help these people and spends her own money on these programs. But I mean, what homeless outreach work have you done, Chris?
And in fact, I've been speaking with a homeless shelter about doing a documentary, but it's a serious topic, and these are people's lives, and I need to tackle that carefully.
So now...
So, you didn't do anything.
Well,
right, so he didn't do anything. All right.
Oh, I was gonna.
Again, you don't have to. No one's forcing you or anything, but that's a no. That's what we call a no in the business.
Gonna make a video.
Yeah.
I'll get to it eventually. Meanwhile, Alyssa has been working to help Japan's homeless population for like 3 years now, and has also been doing garbage and graffiti cleanups, by the way. This is why she was mad about the graffiti and trash. And moreover, she's also been working with this homeless outreach group called Don't Give Up that does most of their charity work in Shinjuku. Alyssa's like the big social media face of this group. Guess who fucked that up? Right.
Wow, I didn't even think of that. Yikes.
Chris did. Chris's video where he edits her out of context and says she's taking advantage of Japan's most vulnerable people.
Yeah. If this person if she gets slandered as someone that's, taking advantage of homeless people for personal gain, this entire company for homeless outreach is gonna get absolutely destroyed.
For money. And you know what? Now people won't take her seriously on it because she got millions of views by calling her a lying grifter who makes slop content and said, actually, homelessness in Japan is not really a problem. So thanks for that, Chris. She was already working on a video for Don't Give...
Someone out there writing out checks to give it to homeless people to turn on the Chris Broad video. Actually, there are only 5,000 homeless people in all of Japan.
Up, and because of you, now she can't release it because it will give them negative press. Here's the other messed up part of this. If Mr. I spend tons of time fact-checking, which is why I'm a real YouTuber, actually spent some time fact-checking, he could have easily found out that Alyssa does this outreach work. Like, this guy does not fact-check shit. He fact-checks like CNN fact-checks. Anyway, back to the Dungeons & Dragons guy.
And look, as someone who went to J school...
Wait. Guy? If you say so, I guess I'll take your word for it.
And did street interviews for class, I can tell you, they have their place in journalism, but not as research.
He's talking about the homeless stuff here again. One, this stuff doesn't require a peer-reviewed research article. Her point is that people who take...
You don't do the research. You say that there's homeless people, and you're literally wrong. Because I want you to be.
The data are hiding how bad the problem is, and she's showing you how they hide it. That is literally investigative journalism. That is research. That is the most difficult research, because she has to go out and do it herself. She can't just Google for a bit and call it a day. And this is why she's mad at Chris for citing government data, because she knows firsthand that it's wrong, and she showed that in her videos.
I don't want to lie to you, like Orientalist Pearl does.
Right.
Oh, it says the dog piler.
Right, it's peak journalism training to assume the motives of your subject. You should sue the school that educated you. Not only did they not teach you how to cite sources, but they didn't teach you ethics either. Though maybe the school was woke, I can tell you that he's heavily on the left because he has a gun on the table that's facing towards him.
I'm so glad he pointed that out. Yeah, no, that's how you know you're dealing with a libtard, man. I don't know a single right-wing guy that would point a gun at themselves.
Instead of a safe direction. That shit was bothering me the whole video. Not to say that I don't ever assume the motives of the people that I'm talking about, but I also don't claim to be a journalist.
I'm grateful that Chris Broad brought this to my attention. I'm grateful that...
Dude, this guy literally is just a dogpiler. Like, this dude is unironically just a giant dogpiler. He saw Chris Broad made a video shitting on her, got a ton of views, and this dude was able to find a way to virtue signal. Let's virtue signal against the white girl that's saying that immigrants are the problem. That's right, baby. It's time. I don't know where emo Bruce Lee came from over here, but, like, he managed to insert himself in this narrative.
He is on the side of critical thinking and media literacy, because, dang it, we...
The side of media literacy. That's me. That's him on the side of media literacy. Graffiti is actually cultural enrichment, some would say.
We need more people fighting for it.
Yeah, I'm so glad the guy who did everything he could...
Again, I don't hate Chris Broad. I just think this was a pretty damning video, I'm not gonna lie.
Make it as difficult as possible for his audience to fact-check what he said is on the side of critical thinking. Now, I'm leaving out...
Maybe one day when I go to Japan, Chris Broad will maybe even take me on one of his many adventures. I love that guy. He's amazing. Now, pardon me while I go drink Soylent. I have it in my fridge. It's delicious and manly.
A lot, but this was pretty much the sum total of people reacting to the situation all in one video. It was mostly Chris fans who knew nothing about Japan, echoing his viewpoints without really doing any of their own research, followed by glazing Chris while getting tons of stuff wrong. I think the only moderate or well-done video I saw was done by Dogan, who was clearly talking about this drama without openly stating it.
For every 10-second reel of a foreigner walking by a broken window in Kamata, or some graffiti in Nakameguro.
As a connoisseur of dog whistles, I really appreciate hearing a good one. I thought this was actually a pretty good example of a well-done and fair video in terms of trying to accurately communicate the viewpoints of its subjects, even though it wasn't directly about the drama.
I don't know this guy.
It was more so made in response to the drama. But going back to Alyssa versus Chris, Alyssa has kindly shared additional images with me of the graffiti. And
bro, I gotta title my video "What is happening in Japan." I gotta rip off all these guys and just title my video "What is happening in Japan." Like they all titled their video the same fucking thing. That's retarded.
Just in the time that this drama has gone on, I will note that these pictures are from about 2 weeks before the release of this video, and I will also note that some of the areas have already gotten cleaned up, so maybe saying something was a good thing after all. Last, I just want to bring this up because I'm sure somebody will. If you've watched other content from me, you might have seen that my sentiments towards foreigners are a little stricter than Alyssa's. That being said, I've expressed anti-foreigner...
Because you're a right-wing male. In other words, you're normal. That's what we call normal. I know. You have been trained by society to think that actually it's more normal to be a feminized, castrated man that thinks of the world through a gender binary of infinite genders. But in reality, this is what we call normal guy. Yes, when you import people from a culture where rape is legal, more rape happens. Now, most people don't realize that fact because that actually is Islamophobic.
Sentiment in conversations about Japan towards a particular type of foreigner. That's because after watching all the shit that's happened in America, I think we need to be a little bit more hostile towards people who don't want to assimilate or refuse to assimilate. And by that, I mean I don't think people should...
I agree with him. I agree with Mr. Think Before You Sleep here. If you are immigrating to another country, you should integrate into that country. You should. You should not only follow the law, but you should try your best to make that country better. All right? Now, I think of Zoran Mamdani's aunt when I say this, but you really should not be trying to convert that culture into your culture. All right? Like, it's really that simple, actually.
Just be deported for being illegals or committing violent crimes. I also think lighter things should get you deported. Like, if you don't speak English after 5 years and if you don't follow American customs, then you shouldn't be in this country.
Bro's intense. Again, I don't know. It depends how you define American customs, all right? I don't care, personally, if you do a barbecue on July 4th, all right? That doesn't matter to me. But you have to keep the law 100%. All right. Okay. All right. Jaywalking is fine, but like you got to keep the law. You got to follow the law. If you're a criminal and shit like that, get the fuck out. Literally. And no 3 strikes. You know, 1 major strike, you're gone. All right. Do not exploit the country. If you're part of protests and stuff, like trying to fight against the government, get the hell out of here, man. Get out. Get out. Get out. If you're in America, for example, on a visa, right? If you're not a citizen, right? If you are a resident and you are taking part of political protests, leave immediate deportation. You are not being invited here to fuck with our country, all right? No thanks. Our country's actually pretty great. We don't need you, all right? You need us a lot more than we need you. So if you come to the country and you are not a citizen and you are part of any protest or riot, I think you should be deported immediately. I really do. even protests. But it's freedom of speech. I don't care. I don't care. You having a visa and living in our country, that is a privilege. That is not a right. And we can revoke that.
And I think a lot of Japanese people would agree with that in respects to their country.
You know how you know? Because they elected a very right-wing lady that's deporting people. Correct. That's how you know that this actually matters. Now, here's the thing. The crazy part is, I came into this knowing that they were arguing about graffiti and you know, stuff like that, and deportations, and, you know, multiculturalism and stuff like that is obviously the elephant in the room that no one wants to address directly because they're trying to make it not be political, right? They're trying to make this as apolitical as possible, right? But the reality is, that's what they're talking about. This is a debate over multiculturalism. Her argument is essentially that now you have multiculturalism and Japan is going to shit. And his argument is actually Japan is great. And multiculturalism is, if anything, making it better. We need more foreigners. That's essentially what their giant argument is, but no one actually wants to use those words because those words elicit a whole bunch of emotional knee-jerk reactions from people that have already preconceived biases and notions to those political stances. That's essentially the elephant in the room that no one wants to talk about. The reality is, Japan, the nation, agrees with her and disagrees with Chris because they elected someone who ran an entire election based on deportations and stopping immigration. So no matter what you say, no matter what the arguments are, no matter what your graphs show, the nation of Japan agrees with her. And for the record, so do I.
Many of them are saying they don't appreciate it when newcomers refuse to learn their language.
After living here 5 years, they can't speak Japanese. Bro, the liberal Japanese women, they be like, if they don't learn the language in 5 years, they should not be allowed to become a citizen? What is that? I mean, that makes sense. Ultimately, they want Japan to remain Japan. They don't want Japan to become Pakistan too. So realistically, this makes it does make sense. It really does.
正直あります。日本語を大切にした上で、私たちの日本語をマスターするつもりで来ていただくっていうのが点だろうと。
It's not just an annoyance to not be
It's
able
so
to
funny because we like this is considered so politically incorrect in America, right? When you're like, all right, so I get it that there's like this Mexican family that's moving here. I really want them to speak English and not Spanish. It's really frustrating when you're in America and you go to a store and the people working in the store in America do not speak your language. Like why? Huh? Why? Literally why? So, but this is the popular opinion, even though it's the politically incorrect one. It really is.
Communicate with newcomers because they refuse to learn your language, but it also changes the cultural traditions. True. You know, if you import tons of people who don't celebrate Halloween or Christmas, then there's going to be a lot less decorations up in the neighborhood, which...
That's true. That's true. Now, the reality is, for me personally, much more than, you know, decorations, I personally... And this is an incredibly hot take. Incredibly hot take. If you let the orcs into the Shire becomes Mordor. Okay? That's my opinion, man. Like, Egypt has a sexual assault rate of 99%. 99% of women claim they were sexually assaulted. If I have an entire community of Egyptians that I import to my neighborhood, you really don't think that more women are going to get raped? Like, just think about it for a second. It's really obvious, actually.
Sucks because kids these days don't get the kind of communities that we had in prior generations. And this is why immigration should be limited to give newcomers time to assimilate. Speaking of the language thing, Chris also believes that you should learn the language of the country that you live in.
Now, I've always said if you're moving to Japan, for God's sake, learn the language. You'll find it deeply rewarding, and also as a matter of courtesy. I think it's only right you should learn the language of the country you're moving to.
This is actually respectable.
I agree.
Note that in the West, you are typically called a racist for saying that you should learn the language of the place.
That's right. That's right. Like when someone says, like, speak English, that's considered racist.
You live in. So this is the first...
But that's okay, because racism against white people is obviously... Like, white people are the only ones that can be racist. Did you not get the memo?
It's a brave stance that I've seen Chris take. But as for the tourism stuff, the reason Japan is going so hard on bringing in tons of foreigners is because they're trying to use tourism to fix their economy. Among other reasons, Japan really took a huge hit from COVID, but I think it's stupid to fix a broken economy with multiculturalism. In the West, it's only made things worse, and as for Japan... It's not really fair to the locals to flood millions of people into major cities every year who don't know the culture or the language. It takes time to learn cultural rules like what side of the escalator to stand on when you're in the subway, and rules like this are important because they'll piss off Japanese people if you don't follow them. Mix that in with like 1 in 5 people not speaking the language in certain areas, and having to deal with the frustration at maybe your job of constantly struggling to communicate. It would be much less of an inconvenience if that number was like 1 in 10 or 1 in 20. But when Chris is talking about anti-foreigner sentiment in Japan, in addition to commentary from Westerners on Twitter and Instagram that he brought up, what he didn't say in his video is that a lot of his energy on this topic is more specifically coming from foreigners in Japan getting blamed for stuff that isn't their fault. Like there was a rice shortage in Japan and foreign tourists were blamed for it. I'm not going to get
What? There's no way.
Look at the full details of the story. The problem was obviously not caused by tourists. Chris is correct in believing that there are a lot.
Dude, not everything is immigration. That's not the only cause of every problem ever. But when there's giant cultural divides, that is usually the cause.
Stupid news stories in Japan. Blaming
bro, the Japanese people blaming foreigners for eating their rice is like Trump saying that the Haitians are eating the dogs and the cats. That's crazy. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the rice.
Foreigners for things that aren't their fault. Though the reason they can get away with blaming tourists for this is because Japanese people are frustrated by over-tourism because they're bringing in too many foreigners, and no amount of political framing can fix that. As I keep saying, you can't simply train that many people on Japanese culture all at once. Imagine people just constantly not following the escalator rules because it's their first day and they don't know any better. So bringing in a bunch of people who don't know the rules is going to piss off the native population, and a part of me thinks that Chris is making this problem worse by constantly encouraging more tourism. But to add one final point of nuance, after scrolling through his entire main channel and his second channel, I finally found a video where he said something critical of Japan that might discourage tourism. Here's a video where he's talking about Kabukicho.
The story we're going to read out today is actually in Kabukicho. There's one rule you need to follow if you do go there, and that is never, ever, ever follow one of the touts into a bar. Unfortunately, a lot of people do follow the street touts. They're pretty nice people. They're very engaging and good at what they do. Now, the touts that target foreigners specifically are actually foreigners themselves. They're not Japanese. They're Nigerian guys that have been given visas to come over and
every single time, man. Bro, they got kicked out of Paris. They went to Tokyo. There's no way.
Basically, kind of do
Did you watch my video on the Paris Nigerians out there scamming people? That's crazy.
To work for these organizations in the area.
Looks like someone is starting to notice. All cultures aren't created equal, and Africa is notorious for having lots of scammers. All you have to do is watch the black expat videos on YouTube to know that. It's the first thing they'll warn you about. So there's a reason why I have strict beliefs on immigration.
You know one of my favorite genres of videos on the internet? This is a very personal Nux opinion, all right? One of my favorite genres of videos is where you have, all right, this is going to sound racist, but it's really not, okay? You'll have a black lady after the election crying about how Trump won and saying that she wants to move to Africa because it's so much better. And then the follow-up video is crying in Africa about how actually Africa is a shithole and she wants to move back to America. That is easily one of my favorite two-part series videos. Like, it's a 1-2 punch. It's absolute cinema. It's so, so good. And I've seen multiple of them. They are wonderful.
And then travel. And there's a reason why I believe that much softer things should get people deported.
The punchline is that Africa's a shithole and America's awesome. And these people are retarded. Just wanted to make sure you got the punchline.
Like refusing to learn the language. By the way, when I say that, I mean high-level fluency. A lot of the H-1B visas coming to America don't actually speak English past a
yeah, bro, they get H-1B visas coming in with Canadian accents. You can't understand anything.
Basic level,
crazy,
if that. But maybe instead of applying a Band-Aid solution to the economy through massive amounts of tourism, Japan should actually fix its core issues. I don't know, maybe they can make a factory or something to encourage people to move out of the expensive cities and into a place large enough to raise a family. Maybe pass some workers' rights legislation.
Yeah, Japan's in a rough spot, man. It really is. Again, every culture is different. Every single culture is different. I think that a culture based on biblical values is going to be the strongest culture. That's my opinion. And every culture that's not based on biblical values will have flaws in different areas. And Japan does definitely have its issues. The upside, they're not fucking their cousins. Now that cannot be said for people that they're importing. Anyway.
So companies can't just abuse their employees into having no free time for themselves. Whether or not those are solutions, there are always ways to solve this internally without importing tons of people. And unless the core issues are solved, the problem will still be there. Anyway.
Again, I think America specifically has like this birth rate issue. And the best solution is find God. Find God. Recognize what's important. All right? Build a family. Build a family. Have some children, man. Fulfill yourself. Feel good about yourself. But to wrap things up,
if IQ is the end-all be-all, your entire argument is on the basis of IQ. You haven't said, you just say, oh, marrying your cousin, effing your cousin, that is degenerate. On the basis of what?
On the basis of what? See you in the next one. Bye. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.